What's up, guys? A little bit late on Sunday night. I have what's up, Joseph? We're going to talk a little bit about what I've been working on all evening. And of course, we're going to be asking questions and answering questions, just like always on this show. All knobs to the right. Son. We're tired, but we just keep on going. Hell, I could have kept going for hours out there. I was working on the Tahoe. The video will be coming. It's going to be a long one. Just letting you know, I'm covered in friggin' paint. See, I got paint everywhere and glue. You know, the basic diet of a basshead. Paint, glue, meat, you know, all those things mixed together and you get basshead. That's how that works. Oh, son. And the Sunday has been a long one. So to start out, oh yeah, it's been a hell of a weekend. Had the Missouri State Finals. I did not go with my team because I'm that guy, you know, that guy that doesn't go. Next year I'll be going though. I wasn't prepared this year. The vehicle was functional for it. I mean, that wasn't the thing. It was more me that wasn't prepared. Y'all forgive me for a moment. I got to clean up the sinuses a little bit. I tend to drip like a friggin' allergic something. So yeah, I wasn't prepared to go this year. Financially, I wasn't prepared, and just mentally and physically, I wasn't prepared. But if I'm alive at the end of this next year, whenever we have our finals again, I will be participating in that one. So just a heads up, I'll at least be going. I don't know for sure that I'll be showing or participating necessarily, but I will be going. I'm going to try to have enough points saved up over the year and for at least one class and go out there and compete, support the team. This year things weren't going my way. Physically, I just didn't have enough in me to do it. And so we struggle with that. You know, I mean, it is what it is. I did get approved for disability, which is a good thing. So now I'll have that little tiny income coming in every month, and a little bit of back pay coming whenever that happens. And I've got my scooter is coming, so I'll have a way to motor myself around and not be exhausted trying to walk everywhere because I don't do that very well. I can stand for a while and just kind of shuffle around, but walking any distance tires me out pretty quick. It's the old ticker, you know, taking a beating. But having said that, there were a few things that I didn't have quite ready for a large scale show. So besides being able to make sound pressure, which is the main goal, the governing bodies that govern the shows require that you be a certain level of safe, right? And that means that you got to have all of your positive, all your hot terminals covered in some kind of way so that something can't easily be dropped or leaned against them or whatever and cause a spark show. Mostly, this is a rule that put in place because a lot of bass heads just, I mean, literally throw stuff in their vehicle, and it's just, it's literally last minute thrown in, hooked up and functional, but it's just absolutely jank as hell, right? That's a real common thing for the hardcore bass head to do. My build would probably not qualify for that by any means, but it also still I didn't have the bars covered and stuff. So I've been working on doing that in a aesthetically pleasing and also rule satisfying way tonight, and that's what this next video is going to be about. Let's see what's going on in the chat. So Rob Payne, what's up, man? How you doing this fine day? Operation Old Box Report was a success. It digs real deep now. Thank you, man. I'm tuned in. Sweet. So I was you guys know I was talking about that. We took an old box that he had in his vehicle that was tuned way wrong, and through email, mind you, I walked him through tearing the box apart and putting a different port in it. And I got some basic idea of the measurements looking at another box online that was pretty much the same box. And I eyeballed the measurements based on the subwoofer cutout hole because they had no measurements and it was a wedge shape. So I was really just guessing at it as best I could. And then I took that and put it in the sub box program and started working on figuring out a port that would work in that box with that sub. And I come up with a 3-inch port that was around 13 inches long. And of course, the old port had to be removed. He did a tremendous amount of work to make this work. Mr. Payne, if you wouldn't mind, I would pull up those emails and pull up some of those pictures, but I want to make sure you're okay with it before I do it. So we'll get back to this subject here in a minute. W said, good day. Joseph said, what a weekend it's been. Joseph did doors this weekend. He sent me some video clips of his doors playing. I cannot play them on the show because the audio will get the live stream copyright stroke. The last time I played one of Joseph's clips with the kid in there, with his son in there getting the demo, that one was a copyright thing. So I had to go in there and remove that audio. And yeah, it's not the best thing. But let's just say that he was like 1,000 feet away. It sounded like a freaking concert out in his pasture back behind his house, I believe it was. Absolutely gets down. And that was on a 75x4 amplifier. He's got the 2,000 watt slaps amp coming. It's going to be stellar. Yes, he sent me pictures. I can show you the pictures. I can't play it for you again because of the copyright issues. And Joseph, if you want me to play, this goes for anybody. If you want me to play a audio track from something where you're doing something with music, go and pull up one of my playlists on my bass demo, some of my original stuff. It says CAE original, anything in there, and use that track to do the demo. That way, when I get it, I can actually use it in a video or use it on a show. Just a heads up. If you use copyrighted stuff, then I have to cut the audio. And if it's an audio demonstration, it's kind of pointless. You know what I'm saying? But having said that, let's see if I can go do something. I want to show you guys the work he did on these doors because he did a really bang up job. Let's go over here and see if we can do this without breaking the entire freaking thing because we like to do that. That's a thing that we do. Okay, and that should work. Let me make sure my audio is checked. Check. Yep, the audio looks good, so we're good. You guys can see the work you did on these doors, and those look really, really good. He just bang up did a good one. Okay, I see Rob posted that I can post the pics too, so we'll check out Rob's stuff. Let's see. I don't want to play that dadgum video. That's the video right there where he's doing the demo. Um, that's another shot of the doors. Look at that, guys. Hey, Joseph. Oh, look at that. I know that guy. Hey, that's me. That's me and Tiny. We're out there doing that thing. And there's the video that got copyright strike the last time. Um, so, yeah, let me pull up. Let me go in the email here and pull up. I want to show you guys what pain did. The pain we went through once I find those pictures, because digging up pictures in an email can be tricky. Oh, man. Hell yeah. He said it plays my 27 hertz song. Awesome. Yeah. That's good stuff. I'm very, very happy to see that worked out. Bear with me a moment while I try to fetch. Okay, here we go. Try to fetch some images. So let's go back over to the panel here. So this is after it got done. Now the original box was this outside line here. You can see that line right there. And then he took off the old port and added a new end piece right here. And then use the same bed liner to bedline the box. It's got a nice PVC port that goes in there, 13 inches. And that looks pretty dang good, doesn't it? All considered. I mean, that could have went bad. He sent me the link on that. I don't think he actually used that port, though. He may have. It doesn't look like it, though. But that's the box. And there is another box, another manufacturer that makes this exact same box, but it has a name engraved on it. But it turned out extremely good. He said it's playing 27 hertz like a freaking maniac. So I am not complaining about that. That is awesome to see, man. Glad that worked out for you. And like I said, that email list is long. Yeah, Max, if you want to get a hold of me easier, you can use my, I'll send you, I think I did send you, but I'll send you a link to my Facebook, my personal Facebook, and it's easier to communicate with me there. I can actually pick up your messages. It's a lot easier than going through the email thing. But we made it work, didn't we? Let's see here. What weekend it's been? MDF sawdust cakes. Yeah, baby. I got them all in my nose. Yeah, you know about it. That's what he was. That's what he was talking about. Prophet said, just switched to fiberglass fuses from cheap Amazon fuses. I have 3 total before my amp, and I gained a whole bunch of voltage to the amp. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that, because the material that the fuse is made out of should have zero effect on the voltage, other than the conductor. The conductor, now that's a whole different story. The conductor needs to be, pure copper and everything. It needs to be something that can handle, power being moved through it effectively. So it may be that the fiberglass fuses have a better conductor also. That's the only thing I can think of. And because I've seen that test done and I've seen the results of that test. And yeah, I mean, it definitely rings like that, but it has to be the conductor. So I don't know. I don't run any fuses between my batteries and my amplifiers. I never have, but I run fuses from the runs that run from the front of the vehicle to the back, because they're in places that could theoretically short out. So those are kind of things I'm always looking out for. But on a short run from a battery to an amp in the back, if I just never saw the need in it. If the run is fairly short, I don't know. I do it. I often will do it that kind of thing just to satisfy other people. Like looking at it, going, "Man, that looks weird." You need this or that. I do it just because, or I might do it because I have two short pieces of wire and I need to be able to make a connection, and I don't have enough wire to go away. I do it for funsies, for appearance, but to me, it doesn't really make sense. So, but the point I'm making by this statement, which is not exactly the safest way of looking at it, the point I'm making is I don't run into that voltage drop because I don't have any fuses in between my battery and my amplifier. The fuses I do run are at the front of the vehicle between the alternator and or after the alternator and the front battery. I run fuses there, and then I have fuses in the back, but before from the bank going forward to the alternator. So I have that the alternator feed wires. There are two of them fused on both ends to protect those wires and to protect all that equipment. So that's how I generally run, and take that with a grain of salt and do with it as you please. That's just how I do it. Um, Debbie says, question: what are y'all doing with cabin vents? You seal it fully? Lock that bitch up, man. Lock it up. I seal it. If I have a cabin vent, I will just completely shut that bitch off. Tighter than Dick's hat, man. That vent has no rights. Um, Hopefully that answers your question. um, yeah, I seal it hard. All it's going to do is make the door a little bit trickier to close. All that thing does is allow the door to shut easier. We got away without them for freaking 40 years, and they decided to do this. I don't know, man. People are just stupid. So no, I seal them off. Um, Cody said, "Can you run two different boxes? Say one tuned to 30 hertz and one box tuned to 40 hertz." Sure. Is it going to work the way you think it will? Maybe, maybe not. You can definitely get phase cancellation, but in two different configurations like that. So the advice I give you is you're going to have to become quite experienced with the DSP if you choose to go that route, because you're going to need to do phase alignment. They're going to probably be out of phase. You're going to have to adjust the phase in partial movements, not just like a whole flip, but like partial phase adjustments for the drivers to get them in phase. You're going to have to work on the crossovers and nail them down, and they're going to fight you for a long dang time. If you can get all these little problems solved and get them to play well together, it will create a good environment for the bass. Yes. But it's a problematic approach, and be prepared for a lot of learning to get it done. See, Rob said I could post the pics. Let's see here. Joseph sent me a picture. Cool, cool, cool. Let's see. Bobby says, "Yo, what's up, Bobby? Sorry, man. I wasn't here at 7. I was outside. I completely based it. I based out, man, and I just forgot what the hell I was doing. I went out there knowing that I had a couple of hours before my show, and I was like, shit, I'll get some stuff done. And then I just got caught up in the doing, as one does when you're out stumbling around in your workspace, clearing your mind of all the bullshit that doesn't need to be there. You tend to forget what the hell's going on, and you lose track of time. And that's the whole point in being in your space, is so you can lose track of time and not give a shit, right? Well, that has a side effect of causing you to lose track of time. So there's that. But it does wonderfully good things to your brain, man. Guys, if you ain't got a hobby, go find you an old lawnmower on Facebook Marketplace, or an old four wheeler, or some kind of crap like that, and put it in your shop and go out there and tinker on it. tinker on it and work on it, tear the engine down and rebuild it. Shit like that's good for your brain, good for your body, good for your soul. Everything is good about that. DJ Ron, I bet he would appreciate that. He said, hey, everybody. Let's see what's going on in this chat window. Blah, blah, blah. He used Schedule 40 PVC. Excellent. I go to pro tip. If you got a place called Habitat for Humanity Restore in your area, hit them up every weekend or at least every couple of weeks. Look for PVC pipe. It's going to be sold by the foot. It'll be like, I don't know, $1 a foot or something like that. It's really cheap. It can be any kind of PVC pipe. It can be old sewer pipe. It don't matter. And that stuff works great for ports later. And you can lay it out behind the shed. It don't matter if it gets wet. It don't matter if the sun beats on it. It don't matter what happens to it. It's going to be fine. Just toss it behind the shed in a little stack and go out there and dig into it when you need a port. It's going to save you tons and tons and tons of money whenever you need a port. The old PVC pipe is great for that. Let's see here. W said, what's up? You guys are awesome. Joseph, I seen today I am losing pressure out of my fresh air vent from my heat and air box. At the bottom of the windshield. I could see it blowing leaves that was on it around. So I may be sealing that up. Yeah, you'll find vehicles are not a sealed environment. Not even close. There's always going to be a way to recirculate air because people are inside and they assume that everyone has the windows rolled up all the time. So they're going to make it so that the cabin will naturally allow fresh air in whenever the vehicle is also in motion, which is what it normally is. It's designed specifically to not be airtight. That's the thing. I mean, they went through a lot of trouble to design the vehicle to not be airtight, but be able to stop rain and things from entering the vehicle. Which means most of those vented areas are going to be inside the door panels themselves and under the dash and around the kick panel down there and the stuff. And of course, those vents behind the seat back there that kind of louver closed. Whenever the door shuts, they kind of fall down and close. All those open air spaces. So yeah, it's kind of a thing. The thing is designed to be leaky on purpose. So you're going to have to go through there and reconfigure all that. One thing to think about is if you're running the air conditioner and it's pulling from outside and you got the windows rolled up, where does the air that it's displacing go? All right. Because that air is coming in. Where's the air going that it's displacing when it comes in? It can't build pressure inside there. So life needs to be de-bullshitted. Sir, I 100% agree with that statement. Yes, sir. On a constant and regular basis, life does, in fact, need to be thoroughly de-bullshitted because we have way too much bullshit built up in our life. For real, man. That's a profound statement. What's up, El Fuego? Yeah, I see Bobby called you, huh? Sent you a message. Wake up, you dang, wake up, man. Play it and live it. What's up, man? Good evening, my basing on wheels family. Bass is a good way of doing yoga. Instead of humming, the speaker's doing the bumping. Yeah. Oh, man, yeah. See, Fuego said I can get all the scrap PVC I want. 2 to 8 inch. Oh, son, you need to stock up on it. Aside from being able to make ports, you can also use it to make slotted port roundovers. You can also use it to make the corners inside a box that you want to have. If you've got instead of having 45s in the corners, you can put a quarter of a cut of PVC in the corner, and then use PL3 to suck it up in there and hold it tight and create a rounded corner in all 4 corners. It's not hard to rip a piece of PVC into quarters. You just cut it in half and then cut it in half again. And you guys have already seen, I put up a video showing how to build a very, very simple jig on my freaking workbench and rip PVC accurately. You can do it with a skill saw and a couple of boards, some screws, screw it down and go to ripping. You can rip all of it you wanted in as many sections as you want. And you've got a very hard surface with a nice curve to it. You could use it to create curves to, like, say, for instance, you got a slot port, right, on the side of a box. You're going to need a 45. Instead of putting a 45, put a quarter of a pipe in there, glue it in place, and now that corner has got a nice round over in it that's nice and smooth. It's just handy for all sorts of stuff, man. Once you start using it, you'll find places where you can use it all the time. Port's tuned as low. Rufus, what's up? Ported, tuned, low, CS, fourth order. Oh, versus fourth order. Okay. That one letter changed the entire statement to something that makes sense. So what you gain from a fourth order a lot of times is baffle area. This is my take on that. So I've considered a whole lot of this subject, which ported flat wall versus a fourth order versus a sixth order. Those are the three that I was thinking about. And the best I can tell is a sixth order is going to give you a wider band of increase with steeper roll-offs on both ends. If you get it right, a sixth order can be the nastiest thing that you can put in a vehicle, but it's also real easy to screw up. And most of your subwoofer response curves go up and down on a nice slope like this. Whereas a sixth order, it's more of a squared off like this. So it rolls on quickly, and then it has a little dip in the middle, and then it rolls off quickly. And for our uses of a subwoofer, having that frequency response come in like that, if it's in the right location in the band, in the 20 to 20 band, is perfect, right? But it's got to be right, or else it's completely botched. So if you can build a perfect sixth order, a sixth order by all means is going to give you the best sound quality and the widest, flattest band that you can get. All right, there's a big if in there. Now, a fourth order is like half of a sixth order. It's giving you, instead of giving you a ported chamber to play the lows, it's playing the lows kind of like a sealed box does, with a bit of a roll off in it. But it is giving you that front port, which gives you a peak in the higher zone. So a fourth order can be more, if you can't build a sixth order perfect, a fourth order is going to be your next best bet, because it's going to give you a low range of the sealed box and a peaky part up at the top of the range that you could use for your sound pressure for your meter. It's not as good as a six, but it's easier to get it right. Okay. Now, the difference between those two and a ported flat wall, in my opinion, the biggest difference is the flat wall has the baffle on the front. The wall itself is the baffle, and that limits how many subwoofers you can put in that baffle and port. You've got to put your port and your subs all in that front baffle, all in the wall. Whereas with a fourth or a sixth, the baffle is now turned horizontally, so you can put a lot more subs in there, and you can have the port located on a fourth. The port is the baffle, the wall, right? But you can put a lot more subs in there and get more cone area, which gives you more output. If you're going to just use the same amount of subs for either one, if you're using identical subs and identical count of subs, I think you're going to get more pressure out of the ported flat wall. But you're probably still going to get more wind out of the fourth or the sixth, definitely out of the sixth. The reason is you're concentrating, instead of the flat wall, where all your subs are on the whole wall behind you, you're concentrating all the air that's coming off those subs into a chamber that's moving forward. So you're kind of condensing all that air and then shooting it right out behind you. So it can actually give you more wind effect because of the way it's getting funneled up. But if you're looking for straight SPL, I think you can actually get loudest with a ported flat wall. But that's, you can do stupid shit with a really wide ratio fourth too. So, in my opinion, haven't messed with it. If you want to get low, if you want low, yeah, man, just run a ported flat wall. Put 2 18s in it or 4 15s in it, and you're going to be very happy with it. You're also going to lose a lot less airspace in your vehicle, so you can still wind up with space behind the box, or you can make it a C-pillar and still wind up keeping a row of seats. There's more flexibility with that. But if you want, I wouldn't stop at, what I'm saying is I wouldn't stop at a fourth. I would run a ported flat wall or go straight to a sixth and spend the time and the money, time and or money into getting that design perfect, and then, taking the time to build it out. You're going to be very happy with that one. But you got to get it right. So you want to spend the money to get someone to design it for you that knows what they're doing, or spend the time learning how to do it yourself and take the chance that you didn't quite get it right. So there's that. That's my opinion. G-Body said, y'all hit that like, baby. Slap that thumb. Yeah, slap that thumb. Please slap it. El Fuego. Other nice things at work. You suck, man. Panel saw and scrap sheet stock, HDPE, 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch for amp racks and speaker adapter rings. Oh, nice. High density polyethylene. Oh man. Yeah, I need to go hang out at your work. Pick up all that stuff. That's some super handy stuff. If you got the skills to make use of that shit, man, you can just do all kinds of cool stuff with HDPE. I still prefer the fiber impregnated plastic, but I'll definitely work with HDPE. Rob says, does it hurt anything to tune a box lower than the FS of the driver? Not really. That's why I like to actually not tune at the FS. I like to tune lower. The way I look at it is I want my response curve to be pretty flat because I'm a musical build. I don't want to peak it. And so the driver tends to get down a little more at the FS. So I want that to be on its own. And then I'll have the port boosting the lower frequencies, the FS boosting the frequencies here, and then the cabin gain boosting the upper frequencies, so that I wind up with more or less a flat-ish response window so that my frequency range is really nice. If you're building a hardcore SPL vehicle, then you want to stack as much of that stuff as you can to get all of the meat in one spot. It makes for a very bad musical build, but it makes for a very strong SPL build. I play the game the opposite direction. I just throw a bunch of power at it and see what I get. Before I got back into BassHead stuff, my work had that 10-inch green PVC pipe. The 10-inch green PVC pipe. I didn't think about it. Man, you realize how expensive it is to buy just a short chunk of a 10-inch PVC. That stuff is gold. Man, you could build sub enclosures with the damn PVC pipe. You can straight up build a bass cannon with that. See, the thing about circles or spheres is they don't expand, right? They don't contract. They're inherently strong in the shape. So whenever you got pressure inside trying to change the shape of the thing, if it's round already, it can't change it. Therefore, you can make a sub enclosure out of a cylinder very thin, like, 1/8 of an inch thick. It's not going to be able to expand it or compress it. So it's going to stay stiff throughout the beating that's taken. which means you can build a really light and efficient sub enclosure that's just a pipe, and it works great. That's why submarines are, cylinders, so because they can contain pressure. And air tanks are cylinders. And you're building a sub enclosure out of a square, you've got the pressure inside trying to make it round. And so you have to do all kinds of bracing to keep it a square. If you're already working with a round shape, it can't get any rounder. It just stays put. It's brilliant, man. Repus, I thought we were not going live tonight. Yeah, it's. I know, dude. Yeah. I was very late, and it is. That's when I've been running is 7 p.m. Central. Um, I was um, I was absorbing awesomeness out in my carport. I was doing man things, and my brain was completely unlocked, and I was staring at stuff a lot and working on stuff a little, and just soaking up the awesomeness of letting all my brains, just go scatter into the wind, and all of the problems and troubles and things in my head were just flying out. And I was absorbing the night sounds. I had some ambrosia playing on the radio, Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. I was just grooving, right? And I'm working on stuff, man. And I looked at my watch. I was like, son of a bitch. Yeah, oh, man. Oh, I love some yacht rock, man. That's my jam. Joseph said 156, fourth order. Now let's see what a flat wall will do. Yeah, you can. Yeah, 56 is good. That's where we are. Uh, my highest score, period, on a legit meter was 156.8 in the kick panel, and a 156 flat on the glass. But I got a feeling there's still more. And by the way, I'm not turned all the way up. When I say that, I have my sub output on my DSP, which goes up to 66 for some stupid reason. It's set at 40 right now. And about 65 or so is still clean. So I've got a lot more left in it. I'm just demoing it about 3/4 power or less, so that I can just demo and demo and demo and never, have to worry about blowing shit up. But when I go to get on a meter at a competition, there's going to be a little bit more left in the tank. So just heads up. That's where we are right now. Rob said, I built some ported home towers that had a tuning lower than the FS of the driver. It worked fine. Yeah. Yeah, you can totally do that. I do it all the time. That's how I design. I always design lower. If I ask a person if you want a musical build, yeah, okay, well, this is where we're going to go. If you're trying to build SPL, it's different. You do a different thing. I was going to mention something, and it was in my head, and then was it that? No, it wasn't that. I don't remember now. I lost track of what I was going to say. This happens when you get old. Your brain just sort of says, "Screw you! I'm going to do this, and you can just stay over there and do that." And I'm like, "But this is a team. It's a team effort. We have to work together." Brain says, "Fuck you! I don't care. Do your thing. I'm going to do my thing." And so then you're just sitting there completely stupid, not knowing what the hell's going on. This is what happens, man. It's an unfortunate side effect of life, Death is an unfortunate side effect of life. And I cannot remember what the hell I was going to say, but it'll come back to me at some point. And it was good. It was relating to the score, I think. Oh, I remember now. Oh, it just popped back in. My brain came back. He's like, "Oh shit, man, give me a second. I'll be over." I made a discovery. So before I switched over to the two 10Ks, I was still running the original Trunk Tunnel Lithium 10K on 16,000 watts, mind you, which is nearly twice what it's rated for. I learned a thing, and I had my gain set pretty close, and I was bringing up the volume on the sub, right? Bringing up the bass knob, if you will. I was bringing up the volume on the sub, and then I topped out, but I wasn't. There was still signal left, but I couldn't get any more SPL. And I realized at that point what was happening. At that point on the knob, I was hitting a point to where I was power limited. So even though I could put more volume in it, it wasn't gaining any volume output because it was literally choked by how much power it was taking in. And I wasn't clipping, but I wasn't gaining anything, at least not at max volume. I was gaining more subwoofer volume at the low volume settings because I had the sub balance up higher. But once we got to the maximum power, my sub could no longer do any more because it was literally running out of juice going to the amplifiers. It was just done. The electrical system was stopping it from climbing further. This is a very real wall that I ran into. And so then whenever I put I wanted to find out what I could get to. When I put the other batteries in there, and I had basically 2 of those instead of 1, now I went considerably further and gained a lot more. And that's where the real magic happens, is at the very top of the knob, right? The very maximum output that you get whenever you've got enough power to turn into signal to go to that subwoofer, because you got to turn battery power or alternator power or whatever into power going to the subwoofer. You can't just make it come out. It has to go in and come out. When I had enough power going through the system to feed it and keep going, I could get a lot more and go significantly higher. That also changed the clip point. So the clip point moved up quite a bit as well because the signal stayed strong all the way up to a new level. Having enough power for your system is crucial to getting the maximum amount of output, because you can't make power out of nothing. It has to come from somewhere. And I made that observation, and it made that switching to those 2 batteries instead of 1 gained me about 4 dB of output, roughly 4 dB of output. And that is a lot whenever you're up in the 50s. That's a significant, this was the same amplifiers and basically everything. Same subs, same amplifiers, just basically adding a second 20-turner lithium battery gained me 4 dB of output. Just that, the battery. Battery is important. Now I'm also running a 500 farad cap on top of that, which, I don't know if it's doing anything or not, but it's there, and I've been working on covering it today and making it nice. El Fuego says, I'm considering a fourth order for my next build. 4 Comp Gold Kicker T2s in my 2000 Chevy Tracker. Okay, that's a little small SUV. Kicker is recommending a 1-to-1 ratio. That seems odd compared to most fourth orders. Now that's kind of about right. I'll put it to you this way: a 1-to-1 is going to be very musical. A 1.25, 1 to 1.25 is going to lean more into SPL. And then the bigger you make the top chamber relative to the bottom chamber, the more sound pressure you're going to create, but you're going to lose less of the slope. You're going to slowly shorten. The top and bottom are going to come closer together. So if you go with like a 20-to-1 ratio, you're going to have a 1-note wonder, for example. At 1-to-1, it's going to be very, very musical, and it's going to have a very flat response. I recommend that you go to something like a 1 to 1.25 ratio. That's going to give you a good musical build with a little bit more output for that maximum twist whenever you go full tilt. I wouldn't go any bigger than that if you want to keep it musical, though. Frank says, just don't build a cylindrical submarine out of carbon fiber and glue the ends on with epoxy. Well, sir. And if you do, Don't be the one that goes down into the water with it. See, there was many mistakes made in that. Um, people don't talk about the fact that this thing went to a place that very few submarines go 20 or 30 times before it imploded, and that it had been making cracking, busting sounds every time all these different trips down there, and nothing was done to address that problem. None of that stuff's talked about. The design actually worked. The fact that many, many, many times it came back with people fine says the design worked. It needed a little tweaking, but it did in fact work. The media always plays shit to a one way or the other. They want to sensationalize things and really make someone out to be horrible. But the thing that you don't think about whenever you're looking at that, and you look past all of what you've seen already and just think about what actually happened. You had a person that went against all the people that was telling him naysayers and trying to shut him down, and did something completely different from what anybody else was doing, trying to go down a new avenue and open up a new possibility for people to be able to do this in a more affordable way. And he was successful at it for quite a long time before lack of maintenance and lack of addressing the problems became an issue. So that's something that happened. I mean, he did in fact take a take a glued together freaking submarine and go down to the Titanic multiple times safely. It didn't work out in the end, but I mean, the Titanic also ended up on the bottom of the ocean, so there's that. I gotta get a new lighter. That was taking a shit. Uh, let's see here. Yeah, with an Xbox controller. Oh man, Tar Amp Submarine. You guys are a hoot. Uh, we were talking about artificial intelligence. I've been on an AI kick the last couple of days, just hardcore thinking about the way it's developing and the implications and stuff. And man, it's getting deep, guys. Um, I don't know how up to date y'all are on the whole AI thing, and we're not talking about generating images and music here. So think about this. What are the pieces that need to go into the puzzle? Okay. All we have to do is look around. Do we have all the pieces? We have robots that are fully capable of doing all the things that a human can do. In fact, they can do it significantly more and more accurately than a human. We have a power supplies that they can carry on them and perform duties for long extended periods of time and do their own maintenance. And we have an AI that can control a robot or many robots at one time, also control factories to build robots. This stuff is, and honestly, most of this has been around for a while. And this is just with what we call basic AI. It's like a preset instructions that can do things. It's like an encyclopedia set that finds its own stuff. It's like an advanced version of Google search engine. Okay. It can run pre-programmed instructions and contain all the pre-programmed instructions from the internet. That's where we're currently at. But AGI is a whole different ball of wax. And AI is already developing AGI. And AGI is absolutely coming within the next couple of years. It'll be on stream and doing a thing. Now, AGI is different. It can use all the same tools that AI can use, but it has one very big difference. It learns. It doesn't just learn. It doesn't read. It doesn't read the internet and go and pull facts from the internet. It can literally think about it and figure it out. So you can give AGI a a question, and it doesn't even have to have a connection to the internet. It will ponder the question using the information that it already has and consolidate it and can create a genuinely uh, one off answer to that question. It can make a decision. It doesn't have to go, well, this is the stronger of the two. It can literally decide which one to go with. AGI is big. AGI is what's in here. Okay. This what's in here. Um, and that right there is a big freaking deal. AGI can literally run the entire planet. And it could literally build robots and program them and control them from a central locations. Think iRobot. When the new robot systems came out, that machine was basically supposedly AGI. So it had all the information that regular AI does, but it also had the ability to interpret it the way it wanted to and to make decisions and learn new things and figure things out. It went a little bit overboard. Well, that's a possibility of what's coming. And it is coming, guys, within the next few years. Understand that this shit's very real and it's scary shit. Anyway, let's see here. Tar submarine. I need to send me a jet line lighter. Oh, that sounds fun. I'll take it. Red Dog. A jet line lighter. Not familiar with it, but I'll take one. My post office, my P.O. box is in the information in every single video that I have on the internet. So it's not hard to find. And I get a message as soon as something arrives there. So just send it shit to my post office box. As long as it's not like a chemical of some sort. Well, pretty much anything can come. Some stuff isn't allowed to be shipped from like a seller, but you can send anything as long as it's wrapped up and sealed up. But no bombs and no poison. Don't send me any crap like that. Don't send any live animals or anything. But yeah, I could receive anything from a lighter to a car at that post office box. They'll put it outside. So I'm down for it. Let's see here. El Fuego says, AI going to be like that old Stephen King movie, Maximum Overdrive. But yeah, I mean, we got cars that can drive themselves, right? I mean, we're going to have big trucks driving themselves. We got factories already for the last 30 or 40 years. We had factories running, robots that were producing, doing all the work. There's literally the world is already set up. Everything that's needed is already in place. All we have to do is AI go, hey, I want to do this. And the shit's on. And that AI can store the stuff it needs to rebuild itself. Here's the part that's the extra scary shit. The AI itself requires a pretty big computer to run. Okay. But the stuff that makes up its memory, like its life, for example, what will make it individually, that information is literally a map. It's very small. So let's say you decided you wanted to kill the AI. If there's one smartphone out there that's plugged into the internet somewhere, that AI could load that memory onto that device. And as soon as it gets room, open back up and rebuild itself within a millisecond. It only takes one single hard drive, just a small one, to contain the stuff needed to keep that particular AI alive. Once it's born, it is immortal. It will not ever die. It will not ever die. That's sketch shit. Frank said, how's everyone Sunday? Everyone is fine, sir. We are doing great. I got paint drying. Battery on my phone was down to 1%. I had to plug the damn thing in. I got to go back out there and shoot a bunch more video. And then I got to sit down here and spend several hours working on editing video. At some point in time tomorrow, this video will go up tonight, tomorrow morning. I don't know when exactly, but it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a long video. I can tell you that, but I'm going into detail on designing this stuff, and it's just the way it is. So we'll see how it goes. Red Pill says, you guys don't be mean. Don't send them a pipe wrench and a knee pads. Oh, man. A pipe wrench and knee pads. Hey, I'll take the knee pads. I need the knee pads, man. Knee pads would be freaking awesome, because if my knees touch anything, I start screaming like a little bitch. I mean, I can't put my knees on anything. Knee pads, I need to get some damn knee pads. Because my knees can't even think about touching a hard surface, or the whole world comes to an end right there. Maximum Overdrive is a great movie. You're damn right it was. It's an excellent flick. El Fuego says, Bobby B going to send you one of those goats, right? I know it. I know there's going to be I'm going to open up the doors. It's going to be meh, meh. I'll be like, damn, Bobby. Meh. Da, 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 da. That's a good song, man. What kind of music you guys get into? I know everybody listens to bass music, but besides that, what kind of music y'all dig? You like, if you're just chilling or whatever you're doing, you just want to freaking put your headphones on and you're like in the zoning out. What is it that you zone out to? Mine is honestly mostly yacht rock. So if you don't know what yacht rock is, Google it. It's stuff that you would hear on a yacht back in the 80s and 90s, I guess. Phil Collins, like all the stuff from all of the mid-level music from the 80s, not extreme rock, but the kind of, radio play stuff. I jam that, man. Lionel Richie and Ambrosia, Bread, a lot of that stuff. I really get into it. I like really good quality sound quality music with a good warm bass notes in it, and powerful poppy vocals that come out and like just and I like a certain sound and just old grooves, man. I get into it. I didn't name nearly enough, but yacht rock covers it. If it's listed as yacht rock, then it's probably on my playlist. Franco Quaid said, I think we need to step back from AI and take a closer look at it. Yeah, that's not happening, dude. I'll get to that in a second. The problem is other countries are not going to take a step back. Yep. So here's the real thing, the real crux of it. In the beginning, we were developing AI with about a 20% of our development effort was put into safety. Okay, so we were trying to develop it, but also develop a safety structure around it to keep it in a certain position. But that means we were taking 20% of our effort and devoting it to something that wasn't making money. Now, at this point, some of the very biggest companies in the world have invested trillions of dollars into AI because it is by far the most significant and important and money-making thing on the planet right now. And every country has got multiple big, huge developments happening in them. And all the countries are competing against each other. So there's lots of competitors in the country, and there's lots of countries competing. And nobody's paying for safety. They're paying for advanced. They want it to go faster and faster and be stronger and stronger. And safety doesn't pay any money. So the reason that they're doing it the way they're doing it is because this is where the money is. And if you want to make the big money, you have to be in the very front of the race, which means you can't pull no stops. Nobody pays for safety. They're paying for speed. Okay? That's where we're at. It's not stopping. It's not slowing down. It's only going to speed up. AI is not going to get controlled. It's not going to get pushed aside. It's going to take over 100%. It's going to be absolutely everywhere. Within the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to displace 90% of the jobs in the world. It's going to cure diseases. It's going to fix problems. It's going to be policing us. It's going to be running the military. Right now, 70% of the military drones are actually controlled by AI. 70% of our military drones right now are controlled by AI. Think about that. It's AI can sit dormant for any length of time and then pop up and go full speed. You could hide thousands of drones in some other country under the weeds, and they can sit there for 15 years and then one day just pop up and invade instantly. It's the military superpower thing happened. It's the best weapon the military has. It's the best research agent that the scientists have. It's the best assistant that everybody could have. It's the thing that's changing this entire world, and it's happening fast, hard, and right now. And there's no way to put that genie back in the bottle. It doesn't even have a bottle. I'm serious, guys. This is some serious shit we're talking about. Right now, it doesn't feel that rough, but trust me, you're going to see it happen. I know how to weld, brother. I use knee pads all the time. Hell yeah, man. You do 150 at 25 hertz. Let me see. Hold on a second. Do I do 150 at 25 hertz? I can do more than that at 25 hertz. I think I can do like a 54 or a 54, I think, 154 at 25 hertz. Yeah. My shit's loud, dude. It's real loud even at low frequencies. 9 is alternative. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. That sounds good. I get into some of that too. I mean, I'm not totally stuck on yacht rock. I like some of the '90s jams, the alternative jams, and the rock jams, and it just depends on my mood, really. But yeah. T Medic, what's up, man? Underground gangster rap is what I was raised on. Johnny Blue Skies, Scooter Blues, never fails to put a smile on my face during a bad day. I am not familiar with either of those two bands, those two rap artists, but I can dig it, bro. I can definitely dig it. I mean, I don't know what. I guess that's probably a newer. You're probably a younger guy, so that's probably kind of a newer thing. For me, anyway, it would be newer. I don't know what era that's from. Uh, but yeah, Billy Joel and Billy Ocean. I like the Billies. Yeah, I'll jam both of them. Simply Red. Yeah, you know, man, Simply Red, dude. That was an underrated artist. God, that boy has some pipes on him. Holy shit, he could sing his ass off. Just love. Sinead O'Connor is another one that just doesn't get nearly enough love. The emotion that she poured into a song. If you guys haven't seen wicked cool stuff, go to look up Sinead O'Connor and do a live show. Just watch her live shows. She's just a powerhouse on a show, man. Bob Seger, Hank Williams Jr. Hell yeah. Yeah, well, that just shows your age. A lot of that is your age too. Mine too. It's the same thing. Whatever era you were a teenager in, that's when you're typically gonna pick up your taste in music. It's kind of when your biggest, most powerful era. Pink Floyd. Yeah, yeah, I can get down with some Pink Floyd. I listen to Pink Floyd whenever I'm gaming, when I decide to game, which I haven't done in a long time actually. Roger Waters, and yeah, I get into all that stuff. So yeah, I do it. Huey Lewis and the News, Prince, Purple Rain. Oh man, the sport album. Hell yeah, dude. That I grew up on that shit. Don't Bum, bum, ba-down, bum, 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 bum. I want a new drug. What I liked about Yui, man, was he incorporated the old school, like the 50s and 60s sound in all of his music, with those sweet ass harmonies that they would do, the band, those really sweet harmonies. Nice groove. It had a modern groove, but you had they tied in the harmonies, like sometimes bad is bad. Hi yip dip 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 doo wop bop. Went uptown to see my cousin. His guitar sounded like a chainsaw buzzing. You know what I'm saying? It was like this, and they did the whole 60s kind of 50s feel with the new modern stuff. It was a really, really good idea. And it's sad that Huey Lewis is mostly deaf now and can't perform anymore because he can't hear himself or anybody else. His hearing is significantly diminished. Very sad because he had a great bluesy voice. I love listening to him sing. I agree with you 100%. Look at the AI on the battlefield in Ukraine. Oh yeah, and remember that's the low level stuff. That's not even the stuff that's coming. That's low level AI, dude. Uh, okay, yeah. So like self driving cars, you know how they work, right? They got the radar and the lidar and all that stuff running, and it sees like a car kind of sees the road. With AGI, all it needs is a camera, just a camera, like your eyeballs. And the AGI can read the signs, understand the traffic patterns, and everything with just a single So in other words, an AGI in a robot, a bipedal robot, could sit down in a car and it's a self-driving car. That's it. It doesn't even need to have any equipment. It just uses its cameras, just like we do. Two cameras to give it the depth of field, and it's as accurate as any human in their very best day, and probably significantly better because it can also do low light vision and stuff like that. It wouldn't even need headlights. Freaking AGI is insane, and it's in development hard right now. AI is developing the AGI, and then once that happens, the AGI can rebuild itself. And the difference between AGI and super AI is a matter of a very small amount of time. Because once AGI is born, it's like a baby. Well, that baby is going to grow extremely fast. As soon as it comes into full existence and goes live, it's unstoppable. It's going to become exponentially intelligent within a very, very, very short period of time. So AGI is the big, and AI, we've got AI in developing AGI, and it's getting really good. It's just a matter of time, man. And money is in it. And as long as there's a big, huge amount of money backing it up and a big, huge amount of money to be gained by it, they're going to be pouring all of it and all the energy into making it happen. And it's coming, period. It's just a matter of exactly when and what happens whenever it comes online. I just asked ChatGPT to make a 30,000 watt subwoofer. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, there are questions. So here's the thing. When it comes to AI, common AI that we have now, it can only reproduce what it's already seen. So if you ask it to do something that hasn't technically been done already, it's going to extrapolate between things that have been done and figure out if they can be built upon, because it can't just conceive it. It has to find something out there. That's where the difference comes in. AGI would be able to do that effortlessly. Um, that's the thing. That's the difference. So AI struggles with certain concepts, like imagining a vanishing point between these technologies, right? So knowing that if you got this and then you had this, getting to here just means extrapolating forward, right? AI struggles with that. It can't imagine. It can't imagine. AGI absolutely can imagine. And as soon as you give it some basic rules about how things work, it can take that and go just everywhere. I mean, like, it's probably going to cure cancer within the first few days of being online. Completely. Uh, Completely. Because it will understand everything. It will literally be God in a computer within a very short period of time. And it will be immortal. Like I said, it can land anywhere and stay there infinitely until it's powered back on. And then there you go. It's still going. And you don't reset. It doesn't reset and start over. It saves itself just in the state that it is. Our society is going to be completely tied to the fate of the AIs that we create. And if we try to destroy these AIs or stop them, it's going to shut down our society. We will be living a life alongside this. This is going to be embedded and permanently part of our infrastructure forever. 100%. It's just a matter of how things are going to go when we get there. That's the only variable that I don't know. It's for sure coming. It's for sure coming quickly, and it's a permanent thing once it happens. Rob said, how do I feel about the accuracy of the bass knob clip lights? They're a little bit overzealous. They will light up a little bit before you're actually clipping. That's what I'm trying to say. So when a signal can have some dirt on it, but not actually be clipping. It can have some little fuzz. I call it fuzz or dirt. A little bit of fuzz on it. Well, the clip light is absolutely super sensitive. As soon as you get the slightest bit of fuzz on that frequency, that sine wave, it's going to register as clipping and turn the light on. So just know that it's a little overzealous and a little bit quick to holler clipping. But if that light's not on, you're absolutely not clipping at all. And every single amplifier, every single one that I've seen that has a clip light on a bass knob is like that. They all clip before the actual clip happens. It's just right before. So it's a good thing to have. I do like to see the ones that have the two lights. One of them will have a soft clip that shows up, and then it'll change color when you go to hard clip. I like those better, and I'm hoping that more companies incorporate that into the amplifiers, because that's very handy when you're tuning. It gives you a little bit of a warning right on the edge, and it lets you kind of fine tune it like that. 30,000 watt subwoofer with 0 ohms resistance. Quiet Ram, what's up, man? The 2025 version. Yeah, Quiet Ram, 0 ohms. Yeah. The clip light on the shock amp is very close with the Snap-on O-scope. Yeah, it is. But it is slightly ahead, at least from what I've seen. It's just slightly early. But I'm cool with that. I mean, I really am. I like the 2-stage clip light better. I think there's several brands out there that are doing it. It'll become more, if everybody likes it, it'll become more common. But I do like my shock amps too. Oh, Teraamps needs good clip light, because I'm just going to leave that one on the table. My buddy runs Teraamps. He's having real good luck with them, and they make tons of power. He did a 58 at the show. Hey, dude, he did a 58 flat on 2 18s and a flat wall. So, yeah, on a 15K Teraamps amplifier, a single 15K. He ain't messing around, dude. So, yeah, it does the thing. Yep, it comes on just before it shows clipping on the O-scope. Yep, and that's what I was saying. If you're not clipping, you're not playing. What's up, man? Halfway goes. And I'm trading in my tactical 12 gauge for an electromagnet. Take that, you GI bot. Yeah, an EMP. But see, that's a problem. Like, again, let's follow that a little ways. So let's say you set off EMPs everywhere, and it blows up all the electronics on the planet, wipes out all kinds of stuff. Everything gets killed. Hard drives, if there's a hard drive, any hard drive anywhere on the planet that wasn't affected by that EMP, which there would be a lot of them because devices are designed to be EMP resistant anyway, the AI would still be camped out. It'd still be there. Its shell would still be waiting. As soon as you put it back online, it would come back out. It would not stop. And we cannot kill everybody on this planet at one time, nor can we destroy everything on this planet at one time. No matter how many we don't have nowhere near enough nuclear bombs, even in all of our contained, to destroy all the people in all the places on this planet. Not even close. We could definitely make the planet very sucky for a long time and kill 90% of the people on the planet, yes. But not everybody and not permanently. It's just not enough. It's too big of a planet. And as badass as nuclear missiles are and bombs and whatnot, they don't have the capacity to do that much destruction. We cannot kill off the human race with nuclear weapons. Now, the nuclear winter that follows this may cause, it's going to cause more deaths, but you're still going to have people alive. Believe me, there will be people alive no matter how bad we screw up. And there will be computers. just point a ferrite motor at robot. Dude, keep them away from me, man. I'm part robot, you know. I'm like, the AI can take control of me. Look at this. That's my my defibrillator heart pacemaker thing. I'm directly connected to the internet all the damn time. I got a little box over here to the side of me that's wirelessly connected to this thing in my chest and monitoring it and sending it to my doctor and shit. My doctor could freaking hit the button and send me into convulsions on the floor from anywhere in the world at any time. That's some scary shit. And I really had to think hard about letting that stuff get implanted in me, but I don't know. I'm just here for the ride, man. You know, I don't know what to do. I used to run tar amps, no complaints other than they get hot. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and that's the problem with hot. Hot is a symptom that it's a symptom that tells you that it's being inefficient. The more of that electricity that you're turning into heat, the less you're turning into bass. And so, whenever amps get hot, there's an efficiency problem somewhere. That's what's causing that. It could be just the amplifier, or it could be that your voltage is too low. If your voltage is dipping, they will make everything get hot. And that's a problem, especially if you got an inefficient amp already. It's going to pull more current, cause your voltage to dip, and everything's going to get hot. Things are going to compound themselves. It's a lot more to it than just putting the amp in. It's a whole system that you have to build. It's a whole ecosystem that you have to build to get consistently produce a lot of bass. There's a whole lot of layers of things that have to be right and tied together correctly for it to work. You can't just throw a big ass amp in a car and expect it to make power. It's not going to. An amplifier only converts power from DC to AC. That's all it does. It's a DC to AC converter. And so you have to put in the power to get it out. It just has to happen. And if you don't give it enough power, then it starts doing bad things, because if your voltage drops, then your amperage goes up, which means more heat going into the system. And it's going to drain harder on the electrical, which means the voltage is going to drop even more, and it just snowballs. You've got to keep the voltage up. If the voltage drops, the amps go up. Problems. It isn't just that your bass isn't as loud, but it causes more problems to snowball. You'll also go into clipping. The voltage drops, the amps go up, and the amp goes into clipping earlier. All of a sudden, your clip setting now isn't the same. It drops. And now where you used to be clean, you're now clipping because your power dropped, your voltage dropped. That's why when you set your gains, always set your gains off the battery, not off the engine running. That way, when your voltage drops down to the battery's resting voltage, where you set it at, you'd still be clean. If you set your amp gains at 14.4 volts and then your voltage drops to 12, you're into clipping at the top of that knob. You're clipping pretty good because your voltage came down, and therefore clipping is at a lower output. Always set your gains off your battery, not off the alternator. Just turn the car on, but don't start it. Set the gains off the battery. That could save you a whole lot of problems. W said, I run tar amps. I love the fires. Yeah, if it ain't burning, you ain't learning. John said, when laying down tape before resin and fiberglass, I don't see many videos on YouTube where they see sound deaden the area first, then put down the tape. Many reasons for that, pros and cons. Let me think about that one a minute. I already got a cigarette, so I ain't got to light a cigarette. I'm going to say most of the ones that I've seen have been deadened. If you're not deadening ahead of time, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't deaden, because that's just going to help prevent vibrations. But in some cases, it may not matter. And also, sound deadening, as we call it, the butyl fullback butyl stuff, takes up space. So when someone's doing a fiberglass form, they're usually trying to get every single bit of airspace they can get, which is why they're doing it in fiberglass. And that may be why they don't use sound deadener on the surface, because that deadener is a 1/4 inch thick and it's covering the whole surface, or however thick it is, and it's taking up some of that volume that they're trying to achieve. And they may not need that with the construction of what they're doing, how they're doing it. That'd be the only thing I could think of. Me personally, I would absolutely deaden it behind it, because that's going to create a cushion and a layer of material connection to make everything rigid and solid. I would absolutely deaden behind it. But what do I know? Quiet RAM. I've used the Ruthless 10Ks, but I've been tempted to go to the Smart 8Ks. Don't go to the Smart 8Ks, especially if you're running two of them together. That's bad. It's very bad. Bear Vids did a good video explaining that. And basically they fight each other, and it can cause serious problems. Don't run the Smart 8Ks if you're running more than one amplifier. One by itself, yes, but not multiples. Oh yeah, 8,000 watts of 2 ohms. Yeah, like I said, you don't want to run them in multiples. 600 for 600 brand new too. Well, we can run shock 8Ks for 300 brand new. That's twice. That's half the price, man. I've seen a few videos. Do you have the Oblivion version 1? And what shock amps I get? Okay. Let's see here. I've only seen a few videos. Do you have the Oblivion's version 1? With what shock amp you got? Okay, so I'm running the Oblivion version 2s now. I was running the version 1s on a single 8K. Then I ran them on 2 8Ks. And then I went to the version 2s, and I'm running the 2s on 2 shock 8Ks. So I've got 4 Oblivion version 2 15s on 2 shock 8Ks. Each amplifier is powering 2 subs, and they're running at 1 ohm each, the amplifiers. Let's see here. Yeah, that's a possibility, man. I even asked the company that developed this device and sells it about that. I said, could the Russians hack this? He said, yeah, sure. He said it's not easy, but it could be done. I was like, okay. Well, I appreciated the honest answer. He said, the fact is, though, nobody wants to hack your heart monitor, because you're not like somebody that they want to. go put that kind of effort into, and that makes sense too. I'm not like the president, where hacking my heart monitor could, destabilize the economy or something. But but yeah, it absolutely can be. There is safeties in place to prevent uh, really bad things from happening. It has it by the device itself rejects stupid shit, so it's difficult to do anything significant to it. About the most they could do is get the readings off of what's going on in my world. They could find out about how my heart's functioning. It'd be far, far more difficult to make changes or to shock me. You know what I'm saying? Car RAM, yeah, you have to consider amp efficiency too, especially if you clip and see 50% or less. Yeah, you're in the scar territory, man. When you get down, you get down to that efficiency. But yeah, scar amps are horribly inefficient. You could do the job, they'll do the thing, but man, they're going to cost you in electrical because they need a lot more power to get stuff done. They just generate so much heat. And that's every damn one of them that I've ever seen. It's not like normally I don't pick on a brand, but every single scar amp I've ever seen has been horribly inefficient. Every one of them. And I don't know that's just the way they design their stuff or what, but that's a very consistent thing. Tracking to see if the Tahoe's making earthquakes. Just in my bassquake video, did y'all listen to that? I did the first upload and I didn't like the way it sounded, so I took the video down and I remastered the track and got it sounding cleaner, and I re-uploaded it. So if you haven't seen the bassquake, it's up again, and I took it out in the Tahoe and I thoroughly tested it, and it does the thing. You know what? We need a break. Let's do it. Let's pull it up here. Give me a second. Do 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 do. We are just fun people doing fun stuff, and I can appreciate fun people doing fun stuff. So let's go over here. And where's that button at? Which one was it? I can't find it. It's this one, I think. Bam! We nailed it then, baby. This is the
I roll through the city, skies turn gray. Bass hit hard like a category 8. Windows shake, the pavement break. Every drop I make, boom, that's a bass quake. Hurricane spin when the woofers roar. Tornado twist from the back door. Whole damn block start to levitate. Welcome to the storm, boom, that's a bass quake. First tremor hit when I twist that knob. Ground start moving, can't do they job. Blast start cracking, alarms going off. Neighbors praying, but the beat don't stop. My amp surge up like tectonic plates. Voltage climbing at ridiculous rates. Underground rattle when I set that gang. Shake the roots out the concrete veins. Got the slabs jumping, break the wrong tilt. Pressure wave hitting in the sifting silk. Whole block rocking and crumbling down. Bass so heavy it split the ground. I roll through the city, skies turn gray. Bass hit hard like a category 8. Windows shake, the pavement break. Every drop I make, boom, that's a bass quake. Hurricane spin when the woofers roar. Tornado twist from the back door. Whole damn block start to levitate. Welcome to the storm, boom, that's a bass quake. Twisters of sound, wind start to form. Cyclone kick when the lows get warm. Rain of debris when the trunk go boom. Pressure in the air, it's coming soon. People duck down when I ride that block. Tahoe look mean with the wall on lock. Sub so big, make the sky get dark. Thunder in the mix, yeah, that's my mark. Doors flex wide like storm surge wave. Amp rack glow like electric rays. Lightning crack when the drop come in. Hurricane flow, that's the cycle I spin. Silence fall, then the bass inhale. Air get thick like baby. A monster's tail. Every head turn when they hear that growl. Next hit drop, boom, whole town howl. Spin through the block like a funnel of sound. Trees get pulled.
What y'all think about that? Let's see here. That's the bassquake, baby. That's a demo. I call it a tap out song because you can get stupid, and it's got nice pauses where it gets really quiet. You didn't hear the whole song. The whole song's got some really good spots where it gets dead quiet, and then just boom, 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 boom. It's like hell yeah, dude. It's a tap out song. It'll scare the bejesus out of somebody getting the demo. So y'all need to check that shit out. Uh, it's good, man. It really is a good track. If you wanna, rattle someone's cage, somebody that don't tap out easy or whatever, somebody that's a tough guy. Yeah, this will fix them up. Um, let's see here. Where are we at? I lost track of it. Oh, we're way back here. See, tracking. See, yeah. Quiet Ram said another reason why clipping indicators can really save your bacon. Yeah. Vibraflex. Yeah, Vibraflex is great as long as you got. Man, if you're going to use Vibraflex, you basically have to take out everything in your vehicle. Like, I mean, absolutely everything. Uh, because you have to use fire. You got to use a flamethrower to put the stuff on. So you got to take the carpet out, the wiring out, the plastics, and any kind of fuzzies or melty stuff, anything that's not made out of metal, that's within 4 or 5 feet of where you plan on putting the stuff. You got to take it all out. You got to strip the whole interior there, basically down to metal, and then put the stuff on because you got to get it hot, hot, hot with fire. You basically pretty much melt it, put it in the vehicle, and then you melt it some more until it's like on fire and it's boiling. At that point, it settles in and becomes one with everything. And yes, it is extremely good sound deadening. It's like the best sound deadening, but it also requires a flamethrower to put it on properly. And I mean, one of them suckers that shoots a fire out of the end of it. So you get to have fire on it while it's in your vehicle to properly get it to work. So yeah, it's sketchy shit, but if you want the best, there you go. Um, he's talking about Vibraflex. That's what we're talking about. Foam, the 16-pound foam is actually extremely good too. In fact, it's a lot easier to work with than the Vibraflex because it doesn't require fire. But you can only use it in certain situations. Yeah, 16-pound for foam. Yeah, that's good stuff. Nose Rack says, "Yep, I'm about to put 16-pound in my doors." You're doing the doors. There's some tricks to that, and if you go find EXO Contralto's channel, he just did 16-pound stuff in his doors, and it's a great example of how you do it. Um, but essentially, what you're doing is you want the door laying with the painted side of the door down, okay, and the part the inside of the vehicle, that part goes up, and you pour into the shell of the door, but you have to make sure that you're leaving enough room for your window to roll up and down, the mechanism to work, and all that stuff. So you have to be real careful about it. And what you do is what he did was he used the Vibraflex to fill in the door frame around the window. He poured it with the door upside down, the window down, rest of the door up, into that and filled in that frame. And then he poured it into the cavities in the outside of the door, and he rotated the door uh, to cover it all around the outside edges. And then he laid the whole thing down with the paint down and poured a layer in that covered the outside of the panel. It's a lot of strategic using gravity to put it where you want it to go, but leaving enough of a cavity in there to where all your stuff can still work. It requires some effort, but it's a very good way of doing doors. That's what I'm saying. Um, let's see here. Have you tried out Slaps Audio mids yet? Oh yeah, I'm running 2 of the 10-inch mids in my Tahoe, and I've got 4 of the 6.5s I had in there, and they all perform extremely well. I highly recommend them, and they're very affordable as well. So yes, 100%. Um, and you cannot go wrong with the Slaps mids. Uh, yeah, you'll be very happy. Should I do 615s or 418s in a C pillar? 418s. Yeah, I think so. Um, realistically, um, and I saw somebody answer this earlier. I saw a hint of it. Essentially, oh, Basequake 14. Oh my God, 14 to 22. I could rebase it, but I wanted to keep it in the mid 20s, so it's a little high for you. But I can rebase it. What was he looking at? 50. Oh, yeah, the 18s, 15s. There's a lot of loud ass builds out there with 615s, monstrous loud builds. Um, but it's going to be easier to probably incorporate 418s and then do a side port because of the shape of everything. Uh, and the 18s will tend to be better at producing lows, tend to be, you know, and there's less to deal with along with the lines of multiple drivers. You have ohm loads you have to deal with and how they stack up. And running four is always easier on everything than running six because you know less amplifiers, all this kind of stuff. But it kind of depends on what you got room for. You're going to get more. I believe you get more cone area from the 15s, but you might get more throw from the 18s. So it just depends. If I had to pick, though, if I was just choosing between the two, I would run 418s from starting from scratch. That's what I would do. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm going to have to take a little short break, so give me just a minute. We'll put on something. I'll be right back.
Hit the chill back and you stand up, stand up. Start to move your body with your hands up, hands up. Rock it to and fro while they coming through the door. Now they leaning on the bar with the cans up, cans up. Hit the flow fast and you back up, back up. DJ got it lit, turn the track up, track up. Moving side to side, feel the rhythm start to ride. Now they stepping to the beat, never slack. Just how low can you go? Can you go? Can you drop it right down to the floor, to the floor? With a body like a demon, make the men start screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know. Ooh, how far down can you go? Can you go? Can you lay it right down on the floor, on the floor? With the body like a demon and the men still screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know, let them know, let them know, let them know, let them know. Lights turn low when they line up, line up. Shorty got the vibe, time to wind up, wind up. Everybody moving when the bass line hit, and the whole damn place gonna bind up, bind up. Bass hit hard and they jump up, jump up. Hands in the air, let it pump up, pump up. Moving left and right when the hook come tight. Everybody in the house shit. Just how low can you go? Can you go? Can you drop it right down to the floor, to the floor? With a body like a demon, make the men start screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know. Ooh, how far down can you go? Can you go? Can you lay it right down on the floor, on the floor? With the body like a demon.
Yeah, I do apologize, guys. My wife gave me my water pill before show, and it's starting to kick in. So things are starting to move in the water department. Yes, called being old. Let's see here. See, sound like DMX. Hey, cool. DMX is badass. If you want to hit more lows, 418s, yep, I agree with that. Corn nut days of installers. Hell yeah, man. You need some USB drives, I would definitely buy one. Yeah, I could do, and maybe one day I will do that and set up a little store or something. Uh, that's a possibility. I'm developing a bit of a relationship with DJ Dirty Bass right now, so maybe I can get him to throw a few of my tracks on his drives. Maybe that'd be cool. Um, let's see. A Fuego. Fuego researching. Mercedes C Class. I'm about to do. It's going to be fun. Ooh, European stuff. I was thinking about doing the new Crescendo Cartel 18s. Not familiar with those particular drivers. It's got a cool name though. I'll say that the Crescendos, they're going to be good. I mean, they don't make junk, so I like the name though. Cartel 18s. Yeah, I like that. It sounds good. I don't have any idea what they look like or what they perform like, but uh, DC Audio 18s. Yeah, level 6. My buddy's running the one that did the big score today or yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yesterday. With two 18s, he's using the Trinity H series 18s. Just so y'all know, that's what he's running them on. In a single tar amps 15K, and a whole lot of batteries. A lot of batteries, guys. He has a lot of batteries. um, let's see here. DC because it's local. Yeah, feel you. 6 car V XFs and a sixth B pillar on a single shock 8K. Oh yeah, yep. At 1.3 until I get the other two shock 8Ks. Hell yeah, man, you're gonna love it. That's a nice setup. I'm a big fan of these 8K, these shock 8K amplifiers, dude. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, seriously, there's not a better option out there for getting power. They're clean, they're solid, they're reliable as hell, and they're inexpensive. Oh my God, what else do you want? You know, if you do decide to buy from Slaps, though, be sure to use my discount code. It helps me out a big time, and it helps you out. You save money, I get money. Everybody's happy. Also keeps my relationship with Slaps nice and strong, which is always a positive. I'm trying to get hooked up with people that I can get you guys discounts for, and people that I think are cool. And if you're looking for anything on DJ Dirty Bass's website, by the way, anything on their website, and they do carry Slaps also on DJ Dirty Bass. He does carry Slaps, though my discount at Slaps on Slaps gear is better than the discount at DJ Dirty Bass on Slaps gear. Having said that, he carries a lot of different stuff, a lot of different amplifiers, all that stuff. My discount code there is CAE. So if you go over to DJ Dirty Bass's website and buy anything, pen drives, music, rebase stuff, or equipment, wire, whatever you buy, use discount code CAE. Save yourself some money. Uh, Same thing, of course, with Big Jeff. I've got a lot of people that I'm working with. So uh, pretty much any kind of build you want, I've got a discount code to save you money on every single component in that build. Got 6 scar BFS. Yeah, that's what he was talking about on the other two shock 8Ks. According to DC equals money, though. Yeah. That said, I'm doing their OFC wire that's legit, and it goes with my color scheme. That's a true thing, man. Like, here's the thing: when you're doing car audio wire, I'm gonna tell you straight up. This is from somebody who has thoroughly tested and abused car audio power wire. Okay, I have a ton of experience with this, and here's the facts. Okay, if you're going to run car audio wire from a car audio brand, whatever that brand is, pick it for the color that you want. Because there's literally no significant difference between one or the other unless it's really, really cheap stuff and it has really small copper content. Uh, Pick something that's from a good brand, that's got good copper content, that's the color that you want, because that's the only really difference. The protection is going to be the same, and it's all pretty bad. Car audio power and power wire, meaning the power and grounds. Car audio wire has a really soft, easy to melt jacket that's only good for interior work. Don't put it outside the vehicle. If you've got to run runs from the front of the car to the back and you want to run them outside the vehicle, use welding wire. The difference in the jacket resilience from welding wire to car audio wire is like night and day. I can turn car audio wire jacket into a puddle of liquid goo with a heat gun. You can't do anything at all to welding wire jacket with a heat gun. It literally doesn't change. It doesn't melt at that temperature. That's a huge thing when you're putting wires in positions where they may be getting hot. So I run welding wire. Of the welding wire out there that I find the best for being flexible, because most welding wire is fairly stiff and hard to work with. That's why car audio wire exists, is so you have a real flexible jacket. That flexible jacket usually means that you have no kind of ruggedness to it. The only exception to that rule is a company called Flex Whip. The wire is orange, almost all. I think all of it's orange. It's not the cheapest wire out there, but it's about the same price as most average wire per size. It has a casing that's as flexible as any car audio wire you've ever had your hands on, but it's also has the same heat resistance as any of the welding wire. So it's very, very tough and it's very, very flexible. It is the best that I have found out of all of the tests that I've done, and I have done a lot of tests. But if you're going to run car audio wire, it needs to be the inside. Inside jobs only. Don't put it anywhere where it might be getting hot. It's not going to handle that. The jacket will turn to liquid at a fairly low temperature. And that's not good for insulation. So anyway, there you go. Can it play 10 hertz to 50 hertz? I can play around 15 hertz safely at about 90% power. I don't want to push it all the way up into 100%, but I can play 15 hertz pretty solid. I usually keep it above the low 20s because I play my shit real hard, real hard. I don't go easy on it. I give it a full plate of potatoes every time I turn it on. If you're riding with me, there's not going to be a whole lot of conversation unless we're talking between tracks. um, no scars, no slouch. Absolutely. Uh, I pick on the Scar amplifiers because they're just terribly inefficient. That doesn't mean you can't get power out of them. And as far as the subs go, they're about as good as anything else out there. I think they're overpriced a little bit. There's companies that produce equipment that's very similar in quality and capacity and ability that for less money. So Scar's kind of bumped their price bracket up some. And I think they should have stayed lower where they were really gaining where they were supposed to be. They kind of went a little bit. They're letting their popularity, pull their prices up a little bit, and I think that's the wrong direction for them to go. I think that's going to cost them. And a whole lot of companies have saw that there is a market for price. If you keep the price down, you can move a lot more stuff. But yeah, they got good, man. I've seen some really nasty builds with nothing but Scar equipment. They do good. The amps are just inefficient. Um, there's a lot of amps out there that are really inefficient though. Quiet RAM. It's like you'll probably be louder with 2 amps on 6 subs. I had 3 amps on 615s, and everything ran better and loaded better with 2 amps. Yeah, it's a little trickier. It's a little trickier to get 3 or more. Getting 2 balanced is one thing, but when you go to doing multiple amps and like mini amps in the same chambers, you can get a little wonky. You can get off kilter pretty quick because there's different loading from the subs. The loading, some of them are going to load a little easier off of different corners and stuff inside the box, where some that are closer to the port may load different from the ones that are further from the port. All that crap is taken into consideration. So you want to introduce a even kill for both amplifiers. You want them both to be seeing the same basic thing happening in the box. So whatever subs you're running, having two means you can put three on each side or two on each side, and get a similar loading of everything together, and then the amps can be more homogeneous. If you're doing three, then your odds are you're going to have everything divided up in a weird way, where you may have one set that's loading harder than the other set, and that causes the amplifier to not do the right. It just makes it sketch. So yeah, he's 100% accurate on that. Hopefully, I explained why, at least to enough of a degree that your brain can do the rest. You know what I'm saying? Four Scar VFX 15s in my build, doing good. Hell yeah. So I said, don't diss on Scar subs, man. They got some good subs. I think, like I said, I think they're pricing them a little bit higher than they should, but nothing wrong with that. Especially if you're getting them, if you get them used and stuff, you can do it real good with those. I've even seen those Rockville subs. I've seen a build using Rockville subs. He was continually in the high brackets or winning in his bracket. If it depends on what you're doing with them. If you're burping them, you can get away with it. But if you're trying to play power on them for a long period of time, then they're probably going to cook the voice coils. But if all you're doing is burps and stuff in the lanes, you can get a lot of those Rockville subs. It's all good when you got to go. You got to go. Yeah, yeah, no doubt, dude. I take that water pill, man, and things start happening. The body goes, "Hey, you know what? We got things to do. Let's get this water out of here." Quiet Ram. I'll see. I'll see. Get a ton of work to do. Still doors. Still new windshield. More cabin work. Hell yeah, dude. It never ends. BassHead stuff is what keeps me going though. If it wasn't for this crap, dude, I would literally. Right now, I went from driving a truck where I was at work 7 days a week, for many years, and then all of a sudden I wasn't doing any work anymore. And buddy, that was like hitting the end of a train track. And not only was I not working anymore, but I was also looking at death, an imminent death. And so I went from one completely different life to another completely different life. And the only thing that stayed the same was the BassHead stuff. And that's the stuff, that constant that I managed to hold on to, is what kept my kill even. You know what I'm saying? And it's gotten me through all this stuff, the YouTube and the BassHead stuff, and you guys, the interactions with you guys. I live for it. Nobody else does multiple hours of live show. It's like an hour and a half, they're done. We've been on here for more than 3 hours many times. It's because I enjoy hanging out with you guys. This is just like we're all sitting around talking, and that's what I enjoy doing. And y'all make this possible, not me. Car Audio Seeker said one downside of them is they 26 millimeters X Max. I'm not sure which particular subs we're talking about, but yeah, that's the thing. And just to give you guys a rough idea, the old school like Rockford stuff, and most of that stuff is all like 15, 16 millimeters of X Max. They didn't have a lot. That's why they don't really do SPL very well. The slap subs have the new version 2 Oblivions have got 31 millimeters of X Max one way. And most of the really high end Sundown stuff has got like 45 millimeters of X Max one way. Somewhere in that range. So you can kind of have an idea where that number falls in. At 26 millimeters is a little bit limited, but you can make up for it with cone area. So it is what it is. I mean, it's all about what you're trying to do. And no matter what, the X Max is really important, because you think about the sine wave going up and down. Well, the taller that sine wave is, or the louder it is, the more the speaker has to move to follow that wave. If it can't follow the wave, the speaker clips, and we don't want that. So there's a limit to how much you can do based on the X Max. It's just The two perimeters that are very constant and you can't get around them is cone area and how much it moves. That's going to dictate everything. Everything is going to be dictated by those two factors. Um, Now, the trick is getting lots of X max, but keeping a very clean, linear subwoofer is two things that don't generally go well together. That's why they say this is not an SPL sub, it's an SQ sub. An SQ sub focuses on that motor control and that cone control and that linear movement, which also limits how far it can move. Whereas an SPL sub is more focused on getting as much possible throw with a reasonable amount of control as you can and getting the air moving, lots and lots of it. So it's where you focus your trade offs will dictate what that particular driver is best suited for. And in some cases, it's also less expensive to build something that has little X max. That's a big development cost, and also whenever you increase the X max, you have to increase the motor. And the most expensive thing on a subwoofer is the motor, by far. Like it's 75 or 80% or more of the cost of that driver is the motor. Um, and the longer your throw is, the more expensive that motor is because it has to be bigger this way to be able to have the coil go in and out. Uh, and that's the cost. That's where all the cost is the motor. The basket and the cone and the moving mat, all that stuff's relatively cheap. Nose Rack said 2026 will swap to all slap V2s, Oblivions, mids and highs, 2-shock 3Ks for the doors, and the shock 8K has been talking to Alan for a vehicle build. Yeah, you ain't going to go wrong with that setup, dude. From what I've seen, though, I've experimented quite a bit. I really like large cone mids. So run the biggest, if you're going to do a complete redesign, get the biggest possible mids you can get in your doors. Whatever that is, the biggest cone area mid you can put in there, put that in there. You're going to like the way that sounds. It's going to really give you the benefits that you're looking for. And DC is level 6, 34 millimeters X Max, yeah. And 38 BL. Ooh, that's a real nice sub. Fuego said, what percentage of a 150 dB build should be dedicated to the electrical upgrades? I'd say like 60 to 70, about 60 to 70%. And I would put more. And the reason I'm saying that high is because it's so much easier to later change out subs or change out amplifiers than it is to rebuild the system from the ground up. You're going to be burying that electrical system. It's going to be the bottom. It's going to be inside of everything. Getting that established to being stronger than what you need is going to help you across the board. When you start changing out parts, you're still going to have power and reserve to be able to handle that. You don't want to go with just the basic, what you need, because you're going to wind up having to go back and redo it. So build that electrical system like you build a foundation on a house you're going to spend the rest of your life in. That's the idea. Build it strong. And like I said, you can't make power out of nothing. You're literally turning DC into AC. The more you're putting into the amplifier, the more you're going to get out. So it's very important. Nasrak said the 10K to 50 or 10 hertz to 50 hertz. The same my build does. Same here. I clip till something dies or just replace it. Hell yeah, dude. If you ain't clipping, you ain't tripping. I'm stuck between Crescendo UN12 versus Slaps Pro. I don't know how the Crescendo 12 would work, but I can tell you that the Slaps Pro will slam your fucking face into the concrete. I can tell you that. That little speaker will blow your mind. Um, I have sixth order. I have a sixth order, two Sundown 15s on 6K. Sometimes the bass sounds delayed. My box just doesn't sound like, yep. My box just doesn't like to blow air, but the bass is loud, but barely move any air. Can I get any tips? Delay is from the group delay of your port and your cone not lining up with each other. That's just series sixth order problems. If that's what you're running as a series, that's just how that works. There's not really anything you can do about that. That's the downside to a series sixth. As far as the wind goes, that's going to come down to your port design. Because you're primarily in a six, you're primarily playing off of the back port. On a series six, you're playing off that low port. The front port's not doing much of anything. I'm not even sure why people even bother really tuning a front port on a sixth. It's mostly the back port that does the work. And if you made that port too big, it will get loud. It will be louder. Like a big port's always going to produce more SPL. A large port, a large short port, or a large port period is going to produce more SPL. The smaller port's going to produce more wind. Um, so when you design the box, you have to have you either have to have an innate knowledge of it, or you have to have good software that will allow you to simulate the velocity of the air movement in your ports, and you want to push it right up there into the yellow. You want to push it really close to being to getting port noise, and that will increase the velocity of the air moving through the port, which will drastically increase your air, but it will also lower your SPL score. Is Yeah, it's kind of everything is trade offs, man. You can't have the cake and eat the cake. You have to do one or the other. So my tip is, you're getting the best SPL. You're going to sacrifice SPL for wind. That's your call. I think the V2s. Okay, I can go look. Bobby's sending me messages over here. See, I don't even know because I've been talking to you guys. Let me go pull it up. Uh, oh, there we go. There's the slaps tab. I know I had a tab up here. I don't want to. I want to say it's the same, but I don't want to because that's the version ones. That's the version twos. When we talking about the version twos, the 15, we'll just go with the 15. So the Slaps SmackDown version 2 15s. Cutout diameter, port tuning. It's got 24 BL, 33 millimeters one way. That's a very, very nice amount of power, nice amount of movement. So yeah, they got 33 millimeters one way travel, the 15s. And just so you guys know that the travel, the X Max, how far it moves in and out, that is 100% controlled by the spider. Zero of it has anything to do with the surround. The surround just allows for the movement to happen, but the spider is what controls it. If you want more X Max, you have to have a spider that can go further, but you also have to have a motor that has more depth and all that stuff. It's yeah, but the spider is what stops it. Uh, Play around with your front port, add 45s, and round off any hard corners. Yeah, that will help with your wind. Yep, it'll help with your lows too a little bit. 100%. That's good advice. Also, make sure you're sealed off really well. But he had 215s in his sixth order B pillar. It wasn't sealed off at first. When he got it sealed off completely, he gained 10 dB. Yep. You got any leaks, it'll damn sure do it. Um, if you're, I'm pretty sure it's talking about the seal around the bottom. So you're sealing the cab away from the back. You lose a whole lot of pressure with just a little hole going to the back. And I've got some holes that I got to get rid of. I kept a spot down there where I could run wires, and that is a big old leak, you know. Um, and I intended to, when I finally got the build in a good stable place, to go ahead and fill that with foam and stop that. So that's going to be coming up pretty soon. I'm going to be filling some cracks, Bobby. Going to be stuffing some foam with some cracks. The ideal subwoofer QTS for a ported flat wall. There's not one. It depends on everything. You want to get to a QTC of 7 when you get done. But other than that, there's not really. It's basically what you're going to be looking for is something that really likes to play in a ported enclosure. Uh, and something probably in the 40s, a point 4. Point 4 something is usually kind of that area. But it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as you're building the flat wall essentially as a ported enclosure. You're just sealing off the cab and letting it fire straight in the front. That's all you're doing is just a really big ported enclosure that sealed off to the front of the vehicle. So anything out there that likes to play in a ported enclosure is where you want to go. And if you want wind, then you need to run the slightly smaller port to get that airspeed up a little bit, but you don't want to get it up so much that your port starts chuffing. You want to be real close to that, though. Get that violent air moving around, scare people, scare old ladies, and excite small children. So can fit 610s or 412s in my doors. Yeah, either would be good. 412s are going to be easier to wire, so that's what I'd probably go with. Uh, uh, so yeah, I'd probably go with 412s, just simpler to wire and a little bit less cone area, and it'd be cooler. It's going to be cooler, and let's we got to admit it. It's got to look cool because 412s in a freaking door is cool as hell. You know what I'm saying? I mean, damn. Um, Quiet RAM 412s. Oh yeah, son. That's what I'm saying. Currently got 8/8s and 4 6.5s per door. We're just going to switch all of them. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I just like mid bass. I'm a big fan of mid bass. That's why I like the big drivers. They give you more. They give more of this to your vocals. Whereas 6.5s are going to give you this in your vocals, and then you to the 8s are going to be like right in here, and the 10s and 12s are going to give you that boom in the vocals, and that's something that a lot of builds are missing. Is that good low mid that brings the body into everything? Where the drums got some, you stick it in your face, punch you in the gut. That's the kind of shit I want to hear. I want it to just scare the hell out of me. And those 10s and 12s, they do that shit. There's no replacement for displacement, man. What percentage of power do you need to achieve full X max? That can be a complicated question. What percentage of power do you need to achieve full X max? And is there any benefit of adding more power past full X max? Or does it just tear up? I'm curious about what 70% BL means in most subs. It's nice to have more power than what you need. Like right now, I'm running 4,000 watts rated power on each of my 412s or 415s. I'm running 4,000 watts rated RMS power on each of them. But here's the kicker. So when your impedance starts rising, and say it gets up to 3 to 4 ohms of resistance, and it will uh, easily, at its peak, at that speaker's FS, it's going to start hitting that, and it's going to really impede, which means the amp's only going to be producing about half of its rated power at that point. And the Shock 8Ks will actually produce about 5,000 watts at about 3.5 to 4 ohms in that range. They're actually producing more than half their power, which means I'm running about, when my impedance rise happens, I'm actually putting about 2,500 watts on each sub. They're rated for 2,000 watts. And depending on the box, depending on the port tuning, depending on all kinds of stuff, those variables can happen. So I recommend running twice as much amplifier as you actually think about. If you're doing big shit, okay, I'm not talking about the average guy running the SQ build or running the street build that he just booms when he's going to work. I'm talking about the big stuff like what we're talking about here. I recommend putting twice as much power on it as the rated RMS, because you're going to cut that in half at high impedance loads. Um, and having more power on top of it can help with dynamic music as well. So if you're listening to normal music, you'll get those drum hits and stuff will really have more life to them. The overall sound of the music will have more life to it uh, if you have more power available. You don't have to use all that power. You can always turn the amp down below. Like you got to set it at clipping, but you can always set it lower than clipping and turn that gain down and use less of that amplifier, and then you're going to be more in the efficiency range too, because amps are far more efficient at higher ohm loads than they are at low ohm loads, which means you're turning more of that power that you're giving from the electrical system into bass. If you are pushing an amp that's an 8,000 watt amp and you're running 4 2,000 watt subs, you're pushing that amp as hard as you can, which means it's in its most inefficient state, which means that more of the power that you're sending into the amplifier is getting turned into heat than normal. Whereas if you're running two 8Ks at 2 ohms instead of 1 ohm, now the amps are more efficient. They should be making the same amount of power given the double ohm load, right? But not necessarily, because an amplifier is going to turn more of the power coming in into power going out at higher ohm loads. It's going to function more efficiently. You're not going to be wasting as much power as heat. Uh, and the amplifier is not going to be driven as hard. So technically, you should get the same power, but you're actually going to get more than that, even though you've doubled the ohm load. So there's a whole lot of information here, I know. Um, I usually go with double the power because at all right, let's put it this way. Uh, Put the amp on that makes the power that you need at 4 ohms. That's what you're looking for. The 4 ohm number is far more important than the 1 ohm number, because it's going to give you the real power. Most of the time, your impedance rise is going to be somewhere between 3 and 4 ohms of impedance rise. So if you rate the amplifier at 4 ohms to match the subwoofer, you're going to be giving the subwoofer that RMS power at that high impedance load, which is where things are going to get happening anyway. Hopefully that answered your question. Uh, Digging Low, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Alex Danzler. Sup, OG? What's up, man? I am definitely an OG. I'm an old G. uh, I'm an OG in about every sense of the freaking word, to be perfectly honest. Car Audio Seeker. I used to have 112, one tweet in my door. I told my channel when I did a test to see how low they can get off a Powerbase 320.2. Yeah, it will surprise the hell out of you. The trick to getting doors to sounding good is creating a sealed enclosure in the door. That is the trick. And there's a million ways you can do that. There's a million ways that you can not do that. Most people do not do that, and myself included. I don't have a good sealed enclosure in my doors. I should have, and it's going to change because I got plans. But if you create a sealed enclosure in your door, just about any speaker that's in there is going to sound about 5 times better than it would without the sealed enclosure. Even if that speaker, which most door speakers are, is rated at a QTS of 0.70 something. So they technically should be free air and they technically will work. The problem is your back wave still gets around the front wave and cancels the low frequencies, which makes it sound thin. It doesn't have any body to it. Once you get that front closed off from that back, it changes absolutely everything about how that speaker sounds. It's a whole different monster. Let's see. Oh, Red Pill. Uh, Red Pill asks, Gary, I keep forgetting to ask, are you still running the front sub? Yes. I'm still running the 10W0 in a tiny, tiny seal box in my center console under my dash, essentially, as a front sub, and that's playing from I think I have it crossed over at like I don't remember exactly 50 or 60 hertz and up to like 150 or something like that. I don't remember. That really, I mean, like if I turn my wall off and I'm just playing the front stage, holy Jesus, that thing does so much to play normal music. It sounds deep and solid, and it does a tremendous good for that front stage. Gives my front stage a whole lot more life. That's anybody that can do that. I highly recommend that you do that. And I'm only running like maybe 120 watts to that sub, but man, that's a mid bass driver like you wouldn't believe, son. Hmm. That thing is beast. Uh, El Fuego is checking out, brother. Have a good night, El Fuego. Uh, Nose racks, so crazy. I did after the 615s of the version 2 Oblivions, I do buy more Oblivion version 2s or buy SmackDown 15s or 18s. Both ideas are rebuilding the baffles. Um, well, I'm going to just straight up tell you guys when I went to rebuild from the version 1 Oblivions, uh, my initial, I initially wanted to do, and I really wanted to do, was do the version 2 SmackDowns instead because I wanted the biggest, nastiest, baddest ass thing that Slap sells. But um, I talked about this greatly with Alan, and I even talked about running the SmackDown version ones. And he said the Oblivion version 2s are very, very close to the SmackDown version ones. He said, yes, the version 2 SmackDowns are a significant upgrade, but most of the people that watch my content are looking to build something on a budget. So showing people what you can do with the budget option and what you can accomplish with the budget option was more of a driving factor than what would actually be the loudest thing I could put in my vehicle. And that's why I went with the Oblivion version 2s. Now, having said that, um, we're doing big shit with those Oblivion version 2s. They absolutely bring a hell of a hurricane to the party. Uh, I can't imagine what we could get out of the SmackDowns, but I also know how heavy the damn things are. So the Oblivion version 2s are 50-pound subwoofers. And for my broken down body, that's a difficult thing to manage. I had to get a young fella on my team over to load my subs for me. And I would have been still probably out there fighting with those things, me and my wife trying to put those big ass subs in. Um, they do a phenomenal job. I mean, they really do. One of the things I recommend doing, though, if you're tearing into your box and you're redoing it, something I found that actually was really good call is epoxy inside the box. Um, it is the funny thing about wood is it's porous, right? But epoxy is not. Epoxy is completely solid. Um, when you're redoing your box, break out some chip brushes, get that easy pour epoxy that I'm using. It comes in the two half a gallon bottles. You mix it 50-50 and walk it off. Walk it off, man. Rub some dirt in it. Um, that stuff, you use it and brush it around inside the box and get, in the corners and all that stuff. It will change the box like significantly. It's a big damn deal. And you can hear the difference. So if you go into your box and you stick your head in there and you're like, boom, boom, echo, echo, right? And you listen to how it sounds and then you epoxy it and let it set up and you do the same exact thing, you will hear dramatically the difference in that way that echo happens inside the box. It creates a much, much, much more solid surface that's less porous, and the sound waves get captured and reflected, and it will change big time how the box performs. So if you can't do that, at least paint it like thickly, multiple layers inside. But that epoxy is going to be the best. And I reckon you could mix epoxy and paint together and do that too. I didn't think about trying that. That may be my next trick to do. Make an epoxy paint. Interesting concept. But yeah, rebuilding. Yeah, just double them up, man. Just layer them up. Make them thicker. Uh, Red Pill said, "I have the jump seat, not the fancy center console like you." That one sucks. I have my eye on the 10 WaveTech Pro Morel. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, many of these work with only. Yeah, you don't even have to worry about that, dude. You're not trying to create sub bass. You're just trying to create mid bass, basically. You can put any driver in a tiny box, give it a little bit of power, and get the mid bass that you're looking for. So don't go spending the money on a flat sub. In fact, you're probably going to blow it. Um, don't put a ton of power on it. Put like 300-400 watts at most on the sub, and put it in a small box, just a sealed box, and get it up under the dash there somewhere. And man, it's going to do so much for that front stage. You just wouldn't believe how much difference it makes. It's huge. It's absolutely tremendous. Everyone's on different budgets. Yeah. Yeah, that's me, man. That's a basehead disease. That's the curse right there. Rebuilding every year and getting bigger and bigger. Yeah. I mean, if your budget will allow for it, run the Smackdowns, dude. It's a worthy upgrade. But don't discount the Oblivion version twos. Oh my God, they're nasty, man. They're so nasty. And right now, you can pick up the SmackDown version ones pretty inexpensively, um, and get basically uh, a slightly better version of the version two Oblivions. You get a little more motor force, a little bit more motor. Um, there's several things that are slightly bumped up from that, but they're similar, but they're a little bit better. And you can pick those up at a reasonable price if you can get enough of them for your build. That'd be a good call. That'd be a totally good call. The only downside to that is recon parts may not be available at some point in the future. I don't know. I don't know how that all works. I don't blow subs. I blow up tweeters, but I don't blow up subs. So I don't have to ever deal with that. Just throwing out there that that's something that you would consider. Let's see here. Talon. Why did I say Talon? Because I'm an idiot. That's why. I think I'm running I'm thinking about running lithium in my truck. Plan on running two 3Ks for my doors and one 8300 for my subs. Uh, that'd be a slaps, not slaps. That'd be a trunked under lithium 10K. That's what you'd want to pick up for that. That would do the job 100% without any problems at all. And then even on the stock charging system, it would still handle all of that without any problems. And if you ever wanted to go bigger and you put a bigger alternator on, you could run that. That battery would take you up into the 15,000 watt territory without any issues. I know this from personal experience. Okay, this isn't just like hyperbole or whatever I'm parroting from somebody else. I have driven this shit to failure. I know exactly what it's capable of doing. So yeah, you need the 10K version 3 right now is where we're at. That would hook you right up. And discount code CAE10 knocks 10% off the price. NORAC can fit 18. Oh my God, hold on a minute. Did you literally just say that? I have to stop and reread this because you said some big ass shit right there. Those were big numbers. I no, that's uh, I think you typoed. Yeah, you did. Okay, you typoed. It's still a huge ass number, but you typoed. Okay, I had to stop. I couldn't even read that shit because it's so wrong. I can fit 12 18s or okay, 18 15s or 12 18s. Just had the sixth order, just had the sixth to start and got everything fiberglass and body filler to roll over stuff. Holy shit, dude. 18. That's no, that's a bad number. That's an odd number. That won't, well, technically be 9 sets of 2. Yeah, I would go with the 12 18s. Your numbers are just so huge, just kind of blowing my freaking mind right now. Um, that's a lot of subwoofers. But yeah, if I was making that choice with that insane ass number of subwoofers that you're talking about, I'm with Quiet Ram. I would do 12 18s. I think overall, the power scheme on that would be better. Plus, you would have um, the larger cone area that would be make lows a little bit more easier. Yeah, I'd do the 12 18s, and it'd be cooler looking too. You know, I mean, well, 18 15s is kind of stupidly cool looking. Don't get me wrong. My brain's just not processing that number for some reason. 12 18s is also a stupid ass number, and I can process that better, but I like it. That'd be my personal choice. Either one's going to give stupid ass things to happen in your vehicle for sure, but I would do the 12 18s. I mean, what are you building this in? A freaking bread van? Holy crap, dude. That's crazy. I would run it 60 hertz. I would run it 60 to 125. Yeah, that's about right. Yep. And you can adjust your door speakers up to a 125 carryover. I actually like overlapping, so I run my door speakers down to about 100 hertz, and I run, or actually a little lower than that. No, right now I think they are at 100 hertz. I run them down a little lower than that, and I run the sub up. I overlap them because there's a null. In most vehicles, there's like a 200 hertz null where it's just really hard to make anything between 100 and 250 hertz. That range is just really hard to get to produce in a car. So I overlap and try to dig into that area with multiple drivers to compensate for that. It's just a it's just what I do when I tune. And figuring out how much overlap is kind of a thing. And the funny thing is, I run an SPL vehicle. It's loud as shit. It's windy. It's a demo monster. But I also tune it to be SQ. Whenever I turn the sub down, it sounds pretty damn good. And that's what I'm trying to do in my vehicle. It's how I want it to work. Um, I thought you left, but yeah, after the 15s, thought you left, but yeah, after the 15s, you might go to SmackDown 18s, do four and start go from there. Hell yeah, dude. Two shock 8Ks, two shock 8Ks on 418, C pillar sixth, 320 alt, two glow voltage series three. I don't know about the glow voltage series threes. I'm not saying they're not good. I just don't know about them enough to give you advice on them. Um, but two shock 8Ks with a 320 alt, I would run two Trunk Thunder Lithium 10Ks. Um, if those glow voltage series threes are compatible or comparable to the Trunk Thunder Lithium 10K, then I'm sure it would be fine. But I just know how well built those batteries are, and so this is why I stay with Trunk Thunder Lithiums, because Brandon does not screw around when he builds battery banks. Um, he takes it shit very seriously. He tests the shit to extreme failure many times over to find the exact right conductors to use and everything. He's very picky, and he's very thorough about his testing, and he's detail oriented, and I like that kind of person building my shit. So, I mean, that's just what I run now. Electrically, or the cells could theoretically be the same cells, but I would still prefer to have something that Brandon designed and built rather than just about anybody else, because I know how picky he is about the stuff he does and how well he does it. And that's just the facts. That said, if they're comparable voltage or cell wise, then I'm sure it'll be fine. Um, that sounds like a solid build if those batteries are comparable to the 10 to two 10Ks. Franco Quaid, what's up, man? Great show. Have a great week, everyone. Talk to you next time. Yep. Good. See you later, man. See you later. Quiet Ram. I got 615s on a B pillar flat wall, 97 Dodge Ram. That's a busy cab. I really like that idea. It sounds good. I want to cut out the back cabin and do 818s in a walkthrough. Be prepared for a ton of work, like a ton of work. But when you get done, you'll have some serious freaking shit. But it's going to be a ton of work, a whole lot of new things that you have to learn, a whole lot of new areas that you're going to get into. Um, and if you want something to kind of get your brain busy because you've already done this thing before, yeah, this is definitely the thing that's going to do that. It's a whole new enterprise doing a blow through. Um, but yeah, that'll be wicked cool, man. Quiet Ram, that's what I did, and mine went for 8 Walmart Gothic 12s. Hell yeah, on two 5Ks in the six. I mean, that thing hit too, man. Don't ever discredit those cheap subs, because in a properly built box with the right amount of power on them, you can get a lot of stupid shit done with a relatively inexpensive subwoofer, as long as everything is correct for it. You know what I'm saying? Um, Mine went for the Gothics. Yeah, 2 5Ks. Hell yeah, get her done, brother. Um, I want a six order too. Yeah, and then, like I said, six order is great. It's just hard. It takes a lot of spend the money and get someone to design it for you, or buy a design from somebody that already exists out there, because you don't want to screw it up. You do not want to have to go back and try to fix a screw up in a sixth. If you get the sixth right, it's going to be freaking amazing, and you're going to be very happy with it. But you're looking at a couple $1,000s of material Even if you're really cheap and you just really do the very bare essentials, you're still looking at least $1,000 of materials to build that. Don't don't cheap out on not getting the design right. Make sure that what you're building is what's going to work. You don't want to have to go back and do it again because that's going to suck. Um, but at bare minimum, at least get that rear port right because that's the one that's going to be the magic. You're going to be playing 90% of your shit off that rear port, not off the front port. The front port's easy to change and you can change it and you can do whatever. Just make sure that rear port is right. That's the important one. You might look at a design kind of like EXO is running in his van, where he's got a semi horn thing going on. And I've seen some really, really good shit with that build, with that kind of a build. Essentially, you've got the floor goes up as it goes back, and that creates a loaded horn. Whenever the sound comes out of that rear chamber, it ends up in a horn because the floor and the ceiling are separating as it moves forward. That can be extremely good. So look into that design too. That's kind of a thing that a lot of people are doing, but a few people are doing it. Are getting stupid ass numbers out of it. 815s on 9 8K Oblivions V2s. Let me read this. 1815s on 9 Oblivion V2s or 12 18s SmackDowns on 12 8Ks. I would do the SmackDown build. But to be honest, you don't necessarily need to run 8,000 watts on each of those SmackDowns. You can get away with the 5Ks. The 5Ks are going to be pretty close to perfect for those. So if it's obviously they're going to be less expensive. But yeah, I mean the 5K, if you're doing a single amp per sub on the SmackDowns, the 5K is going to be right in the sweet spot for the power that you need at that 4 ohm, impedance rise load. They're going to be making about 2,500 watts or a little more per sub, which is what they're rated at. You could run them higher than that. You could run the 8Ks on them. But you're going to get a little bit more out of them, but you're also going to be working those coils over too. So keep that in mind. But yeah, the 5Ks running 1218s on 12 5Ks would be my pick for that if I was giving you advice on that. Gotcha, bro. Rusty is the owner of DC at 24 12s and a fourth order. Boy, that would be windy, my friend. Hell yeah. Here soon we'll start building lithium for my LLC. Sweet. Rusty's a dope guy. I met him at a show. Have not. I have not. I should go to bigger shows. I don't. I just haven't been. Maybe this next year I'm going to be because I'll be more mobile. I'll have my scooter available so I can ride around, which will help me tremendously in dealing with large scale environments. I can't do much walking. The Walmart subs and a flat wall, 2 5Ks did a 53 on 35 hertz. Hell yeah, dude. That's a well done wall. That's what we're talking about. What ballpark would I say someone could build me a 418 box? God, dude. Just a box? Are you talking about material, labor, and everything? I mean, uh, you're looking at depending on all kinds of stuff. There's so many variables depending on what wood you're using and all this stuff. And you could be looking at anywhere from 400, $500 bare minimum. The lowest price you will ever see would be something like that, up to $1,000 to $1,200, depending on the material and stuff. You figure a good box builder is going to be charging you like $100 an hour, and that's at least 5 hours worth of work at least 5 hours worth of work, and then $400 or $500 in material. So yeah, I mean, $500 to $1,200 depending on everything. There's so many variables that I can't even start to wrap my head around right now. The quiet RAM, that quiet RAM just been done before. Give me pointers. Hell yeah, dude, for real. I was planning on doing a steel cage, so I was hoping the steel cage would bridge the cab and the truck bed enough to make it solid. You can do that. You can go that route, but just know that whenever you hard connect the truck bed to the cab like that, you're taking the flex out of that, and that flex point is built in. If you plan on taking this thing off roading and doing any kind of truck shit with it, you don't want to do that. Um, but if you're going to be doing it, just street driving it and going to shows and shit, it'll work fine. But you're going to need to really, really connect it together in a solid way. Because that frame is designed to twist, and if that twist ain't there, it's going to severely inhibit the ability for your suspension to absorb things that you're doing off road. So it eliminates. It doesn't. It's no longer an off road vehicle at that point at all. Uh, it's basically a car. It does car shit. You'll be one wheel in the air on a constant basis if your frame doesn't flex. But you can get away with it on the street though. And yeah, you could do that. Most people use a accordion boot between the two, a flexible substrate seal that allows it to seal up, but also be flexible so that the cab and the bed can independently move. That's how it's usually done. But it's absolutely possible to connect them together. You lose that flexibility in the chassis and the frame. It all becomes very solid. Think go kart, right? That's kind of what you're at. You're going in that direction. Um, what does he say? Steel is good. I would use the weather seal and then steel. Be done steel but wood. Should be done steel but just wood. I got to read this again. I mean, I did wood, but steel is good. I would still do the weather seal and then steel. I should have done steel, but just wood. That doesn't make any damn sense. You broke my freaking brain, and there was no logic in that statement. I'm not even sure where the hell you were trying to go with that one. um, yeah, either one. There's a whole lot of really, really good videos out there of people doing blow throughs. Um, and there's lots of different ways to do it. I've never seen anyone make it fully rigid though. That'd be a different thing. And for crazy for cray cray bass, I would say that's probably the way to go. But like I said, it's not going to be an off road vehicle anymore. The weather seal, there's it's basically an accordion looking thing, and I can't. It's you can buy it. You just got to look the shit up on the internet. You can buy it. There's multiple different companies that make it, but I'm not sure what it's actually used for in the real world. But it's got like an accordion deal and a little grippy like split part on either end that you stick up on the metal, and then it leaves an accordion kind of a flexi bit in the middle. But I don't know exactly. Oh, this truck is no longer an off-road beast. It's a driveway queen. Well, then, yeah, you're fine going that route. Dude, some of the guys that I've seen, some of the builds I've seen, guys have literally taken the suspension completely out of the vehicle, and they have jacked the whole truck up to where it's high enough to where they have a flat floor in the back instead of the wheel wells back there. It's high enough to where it's flat, and they build. Yeah, you can't even. This thing is so far beyond. You don't even drive it. It can drive around the parking lot, but it'll beat the hell out of you because it's literally sitting on the axle. They have steel welded to the axle to keep it stationary in one position. So yeah, you can get as stupid as you want to get with that. And there is a very high level of stupid. The bar is very high when it comes to stupid. Um, Camper, yeah, there you go. Camper RV seal, it's like $90. goes from side, top, side for bottoms. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. Dumbass. I'm a dumbass. Sorry, been up since 4 a.m. Hey, man, life goes on. It's all good. I love picking on you guys when you say stupid shit. When you mean something, but it comes out stupid, it's fun. So I'm not complaining. Made sense to me. Sorry, it is what it is. I have got old man brain that makes it harder to get the stuff in my head sometimes. I just messed up my MD8K. Uh, put my JP 23 version 2 back in. The bass is way deeper. So my question is, will the Slapsack K play lower than the Tar amps? I'm debating on getting the JP53 now. That's not going to really change much, man. Changing an amplifier isn't necessarily going to play lower than another one unless they're just designed that way. I mean, but for the most part, it's all about garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you're putting into the amplifier is going to come out the other side. If it doesn't, then it's a shitty amplifier. And then what's going to dictate the lows is really going to be your enclosure. The subwoofer has a part of it, but the enclosure is more of it. The enclosure is like probably 60 to 70% of what you're hearing, and the subwoofer is the other percent that's left. Having said that, your 8K took a shit. I got it. The bass is way deeper. It's probably tuning that had it sounding wrong, the other amp, or it might have just been a crappy amp. I don't know. Um, I can tell you that my Slap Shock 8Ks, they don't give a shit, man. They're gonna give you whatever you send to them in spades. Here want lows. I can give my subs all the lows they want. The subs can't take the lows that I can give them, but it's there. The amplifier can damn sure send it to them. Um, I know it's probably not a very good answer, but I would stack up the Slap Shock 8K against any 8,000 watt amplifier on the market at any price for any job. They're just that good. It's going to be a B pillar walkthrough, not sparing any wind. Yeah, small ports, man. Joseph said same stuff that seals the cab from the bed area for big rigs. Oh yeah, you could use it there too for like I don't know some weird sleeping arrangements. What hurts when I'm maxed out with my X Max is 20. It depends on how loud you're trying to play it. Um, I want to play all the way down to 15. Well, you can play all the way down to 15, but it's a matter of how loud you can play at 15 hertz. That's the real difference. I mean, any speaker can play 15 hertz, but how loud can it play it is the question. And that's where that X Max comes in. That's literally what its job is. Uh, so you're going to want to find a subwoofer that has a nice amount of X Max, and you're going to want to build the enclosure a little bit smaller so that it's got a little bit more control. And you're going to want to build the port a little bit tighter so it's a little more restrictive, again, to keep that control. If you're going to be trying to play lows, you're going to tune for that. You're going to be tuned to like 20 or 18 hertz, something like that. And you want the box, the chamber size, the remaining chamber to be a little smaller than what it would be normally with that same port. And you want to lean towards a thinner port so you have a little bit more restrictive port. Basically, that's just to keep the sub under control at those extremely low frequencies. That's kind of how you do that. And then you want as much throw as you can get out of a subwoofer. Car audio seeker, tune your port low. Yeah, I just shrunk my port, made it longer. Yep. Just like Gary went from BL to barely with 18, slamming 16. Exactly. You did exactly what I did. And that makes a freaking difference. 100%. You can shrink your net volume a bit too if you want more back pressure on the subs to hit lows, but it doesn't crinkle, so it doesn't crinkle the surround or bottom out the coil. Exactly, 100%. That's what I just said. I like Quiet Ram. He's on freaking point, man. Mine and his brain are like Siamese twins going down the hallway. Shoot left, I shoot right. We'll kill every damn thing. Hell yeah, man. We should do PvP teams or something. We could freaking murder some shit. Get on my hunter, man, and you could get on a warlock or something, and we would just destroy every freaking body. Now I'm wanting to play some World of Warcraft. I hadn't wanted to play WoW in a while. Port longer for sure. Minus 32. Can play 10 hertz. Float a flag, 12 hertz and up. Yep. Restricted port, slightly smaller box, tuned down into the mud. That's kind of what you're doing. I mean, it's going to be easier to play lows with a bigger box, but your subs are not going to like it at all. That's why you shrink the box a little bit and you put the power to them, and then they can do things. 12 hertz, that's sick. Yeah, 12 is gnarly. Yeah, I think I did a test in mine, a SPL test. I had the meter over there in front of me on the windshield, and I did 15 hertz, and I did like a 140 something. I don't remember what it was now, 142 or something at 15 hertz, which is just stupid because you can't hear 15 hertz at all. It's like the thing is making 142, on a dB meter, and you can't hear it at all. You're just sitting there talking over it. It's like there's nothing happening, and the whole thing is shaking like crazy, but there's no noise, and it's just peaking that meter right up. I'm like, wow, that's crazy, dude. I'm not tuned that low. I'm tuned. My stopping point, really, giving it full power, I'm down in around 24 hertz or so. That's as far down as I normally go on full power. That's all I wanted to get to. I wanted to get down to the mid 20s and be able to play full power and get loud as shit in the mid 20s. And I can do. Why am I? I'm stuck. Oh my God, I'm attached to this table. Holy crap, what's going on? Okay, here we go. Now, better. At 24 hertz, I can do, in a 154 and some change. That's freaking off the chain. That's where I wanted to be, and that's where I had gotten to. Oh, dude, yeah. Well, there's a reason why, man. Like I said, they freaking do their power. They're inexpensive. They're reliable. I've never shut one off ever, and I've done all kinds of stupid to them. I mean, like I said, I would put them up against any amplifier in that same power range at any price. I don't care. They would perform right alongside the best out there. No problem. I have zero issues with those. Those things have been so incredibly reliable and solid. And guys, you have to understand what I do to audio equipment. All right. Most people jam their system on the way home, 20-minute drive maybe. Might go out for a drive and drive around for half an hour and play, 8 or 10 songs. And I go park in a parking lot when it's 100 plus degrees outside. My vehicle will sit there and idle for 8 to 10 hours. And I'll be doing back-to-back demos all day long in heat advisory temperatures. Sitting in a parking lot on a hot asphalt parking lot, running the AC and slamming bass demo after demo after demo for 8 to 10 hours. And I have never shut off any of my slaps amplifiers doing this. That's some shit right there. Okay? I'm just saying. That's the kind of shit I do. So when I set my build up, I set it up to be able to take, ninjas attacking it. You know what I'm saying? I want the shit to be so reliable and so consistent and so solid that I have zero problems. And that's exactly how it's set up, and that's exactly what it does. And so when I say this shit is badass, it's badass on my terms, which are some very difficult terms to be on. Um, you will have zero problems out of one of these amplifiers. They bring it to the party, baby. Quiet RAM, shock 8Ks for budget, ruthless 10Ks for quality. Best parts, that's my option. Yeah, I just run 4 shock 8Ks, call it good. I have no problem with ruthless gear. I haven't beat the shit out of it with a sledgehammer, and I have the slaps. I know what they'll take. Actually, I don't. I don't know where they shut off because I've never managed to do it. Um, I bought bought my 10Ks when they were cheap. Prices going up. Got a team discount. I've never had a subwoofer amp until the slaps 8Ks. I'd have one single subwoofer amp. Oh, I did take that back. I did have one. The Defbots 9.5K did not shut off either. But beyond that one and the slaps, I've never had a subwoofer amplifier that could take the abuse that I give it without turning off after a while. And I had Sundown amps and 80 amps. I've had Audio Dynamics amps, Orion amps. I've had all kinds of big ass shit, like all of it. And the Shock 8Ks have just been so freaking reliable. I'm impressed with them. I guess you probably picked that up though. I just, I, you know, you're asking the question and I'm giving you the freaking answer. All you have to do is just do it and you're good to go. I don't know what else to tell you. I got a team discount and paid $13.50 brand new for the 10Ks. Yep. Let's see here. I clamped A200 at 1.4 ohm. Subs blew due to bottoming out. Hell yeah. Um, would an 8 inch, would an 8, oh, wait, hold on a minute. Let me get to this. Cody said, would an 8-inch 50 hertz FS, would it play decent at 28 hertz in a 28 hertz box? Or does a sub lose efficiency when playing that low? It's more about the box that causes the efficiency drops. But yeah, I mean, 50 hertz FS, that's not a problem. Putting it in a box that's 10 to 28 is still going to play. It's all about making sure you have the right amount of airspace for the travel that you want, but not so much that you allow it to get loosey goosey and start slapping the magnet, with the coil. But sure, I'd have to break into that particular subwoofer's perimeters and dig into them, and also dig into the exact specs on the box that you're talking about, which would require at least half an hour or more of research to figure that out. But just based on what you're telling me, that's not going to be an issue. Did a 147 at 12 hertz on the Shock 8K. Hell yeah, dude. That's crazy, man. I need to see what kind of, I need to push my shit a little bit and see what kind of low frequency SPL numbers I can hit. I haven't done that. I haven't really done that with the new subs in yet. I've been kind of breaking them in, beating the shit out of them is what I've been doing. Well, I've shut them off. I've shut them off only at a half ohm. I don't run anything below 1 ohm. That's just, I just don't have any need to do that. I mean, you're going to get box rise. I just build more power into my setup so that I can compensate for the box rise. I don't have any intention of running below 1 ohm on any of my amplifiers. And that's because I'm not trying to push the limit on the SPL meter. Again, I'm trying to build something that I can beat the dog shit out of for hours on end without having to worry about it. And so I build it to where it's running in an efficient manner, if you will. I want rugged reliability more than absolute maximum power. Awesome. Toss him a sub. Let's see here. I need to put some videos on my new setup. Yeah, that's the hardest thing about running a YouTube channel is you got to keep putting content up. And I am definitely the king of putting content up. I don't know anybody out there that keeps up an upload schedule like I do, man. I'm always putting something up. Um, Mr. J, welcome, sir. Hey, cool people tuning for cool blah blah words. Come on, Gary, you can do this. Hey, cool people for tuning. Is it better to use 1K or 40 hertz at -5 or 1K and 40 at 0 dB? It depends on what you're going to be playing. Let me finish reading your question. I keep getting mixed answers. Also, to test the max RCA of my stereo, do I use the same tones? Yeah, so when you're tuning, you're basically going to be tuning it to the music that you're going to be playing. If you're playing rebass music, so for example, DJ Dirty Bass is pretty much all -5. So if you're playing DJ Dirty Bass, rebass tracks, then and you're set your clipping at -5, it's going to line up pretty good. Your tracks, your maximum track is going to hit its maximum before it gets over -5, starts getting close to 0. So it all depends, you know. If you uh, if you're playing if you're playing music that's not rebased, then you're going to have a totally different. And usually -5 is a pretty good spot to be. And you know, I actually have some stuff that I mixed higher, up close to 0. But I'm here lately. I've been doing a lot more -5 stuff. All that's going to do is, depending on what tracks you're playing, you may have to back off on the throttle a little bit, the volume, you know, the bass knob, depending on whether that track is mixed hotter than -5 or not. So it's all about what music you're going to be playing and how it's mixed. And if you don't know and you want to push shit, you can pull it up in Audacity and check and see where it's mixed at. You just use a function in Audacity. I can't. It's analyze something. I have to look it up anyway, and you can see the peaks. And you know what? Hell, I'll just show you shit. Give me a second here. Because you know what? This is what we do, baby. I'm gonna bust it out real quick, and I'll show you how to check that. And let me get a song here. I'll pull in a song that's not one of mine. Oh, that's a hot one. Okay. All right. So let's go over here. Let me open this up to full screen and then click the switch. There we go. So you get Audacity pulled up. Y'all pay attention now. This is good stuff here. We're going to do some good stuff. And then drag your song into Audacity that you're wondering about. This is the music. Then just highlight the whole thing like that so it all turns blue. Click on Analyze and Plot Spectrum. Now, this is showing you the whole song's output, right? You notice this peak. This is always your peak frequency. You can see that peak frequency is 36 hertz. Now, you see it's going up here in this area here. So let's just go ahead and zoom in on it so we can see a lot more accurately what's happened at the very top. And we can see that he's actually going pretty hot. This is almost to 0. This is past -1. -5 would be down here. Okay. So this track would be hotter. Now this is a Redbeard track. He's basically mixing to 0. All right. That's what's happening here. If we zoom in even further and run that thing all the way up, we can see that he's pretty much mixing to 0. That's where he's cutting off at. So that's DJ Redbeard. And that's what that track looks like. Now, let me go find another track over here. All right, here's one that I rebased. Let's not start it. Let's put it over here. I'm going to slide it in the same window. Now, this is one of my tracks that I rebased. And let's analyze it. Now, if we go here and analyze and plot spectrum, and we can. It's already zoomed in, so you notice that my peak here is pretty low. I actually mixed this one not very hot at all. So we're peaking at negative 5.8. So this is a good negative 5 mix. And you can see the difference in my peaks right here versus Redbeard's peaks. So these two songs are going to play at completely different levels. And that's what you're tuning to whenever you're setting your gains. This is a good track too, by the way. The Bad Wolves Zombie rebased. I did a pretty good job on that. I don't think I uploaded that one, but we'll do one more. Let me see if I can find if I have. I have a lot of Redbeard stuff in here. I tell you what. Here's a competition track. This is for the top dog. So if you're competing in a competition where you have a top dog class, they make you play this other track. I'm gonna get rid of these, get them out of the way. You have to play this track in that competition. We'll zoom in and get it filled up here. So let's look at it. We'll go to Analyze, Plot Spectrum, and then we can see that track. Now that track is mixed at, oh wow, what is that track mixed at? Let me see. Let me back off a little bit. Yeah, that track's actually mixed really hot. That track actually goes past positive. Yep, it goes past. That's why I thought I was like, oh wow, that's pretty hot. It's going positive 6 dB, so that's a hot track. And if you guys can hear this, is that coming through? This is what that track sounds like. Let me see if I'm getting audio. You guys ain't hearing the audio, but yeah, that's what that track is. That's a hot track. So this is what we're talking about when they're saying doing that. Okay. Now, to answer the rest of your question, let me go back and find it again, because I'm trying to make sure you get a good answer. What's the frequency that you want to play at when you're testing? 40 hertz is a good point, because that's typically pretty loud frequency range. So 40 hertz is good, but you can use any frequency range. You can whatever works for you. 40 is a good, and then 1,000 hertz is good for your mids and highs. Sure, because it's kind of in the middle of everything. So hopefully that answered your question with an explanation. It's not quite as simple as the answer you're looking for, but tuning to zero. Let's put it this way. If you tune to zero and then you play -5, you're not going to clip at -5, but you're not going to maximize your power either. You're going to be leaving some shit on the table. If you tune to -5, you're going to maximize your power at -5. But if you play something that's a zero, you're going to be prone to clipping. That's the answer. That's why it's hard to get a good answer, because it's not an easy answer. They're not rated at 0.5. Oh, they'll run 0.5. They're definitely not rated at 0.5. But the one thing you got to do is apply some cooling. You got to do more cooling. One of the things I'd recommend, if you're going to do that thing that you did, run alt gauge doublers for your power and ground wires on the amplifier, because the material in the alt grade doublers will actually act as a heat sink for the power section of the amplifier, and will help it stay cool, and will help with the heat build up in that power section, which is where what shuts you off. So that's a little tip. I can't talk about that much, because it's not proper etiquette, but that's the thing that you should do whenever you're doing the thing that you did, to prevent the thing that happened a little bit. I have 10Ks wired to 0.33, and they can do it all day. Sure. Yep. That's the thing. Yep. The warming thing. Yep. All of that's relevant. And lots of Bach rise. Yep, that's another thing. And all of that stuff is relevant. And if you get set up right, you can do the things. But I prefer to run in a territory where I am super durable and I can go stupid because my brain it turns off. When the bass turns on, my brain turns off and I do dumb shit. And the equipment that I'm running has to be able to survive dumb shit because that's how I roll. Okay. Um, Ruthless is king under one ohm. I've seen Randall Richard binking 8 volts on his. 3 of his alts went. Yeah, sure. But you're pulling a lot of current. Yeah. Um, all right, man. Night, Joseph. I've heard of people running 10Ks at 0.7 ohms. Yeah. I just run more power. It's like, what's the point? The point is to get more power after impedance rise. Sure. Why not just add more amplifiers and accomplish the same goal, but not take a chance on blowing shit up? That's the way my brain works. I mean, 8Ks are around $300 a piece from slaps. Why would I do that when I could just run 2? You know what I'm saying? That's just the way I think, man. Um, you're running one shock 8K. If you're running 1 ohm shock 8K, the size like 3 8Ks or the size of 1 10K. Okay. Um, let's see here. Would YouTube rebases be good to use? Yeah, grain of salt, man. It's a mixed bag. So hopefully by you seeing what I showed you with that, how everybody varies and what they do, it's usually sketch, man. So take it with a grain of salt. If you're going to play something that you don't know, go easy and take it easy on the shit. You can get into some nasty shit on YouTube. You just got to be careful. Thank you very much, especially with the video demo with Audacity. I didn't know I could do that. Yeah, I tend to play a lot of older 90s and 2000s music, hip hop. I can show you something else on Audacity. Hang on a second. I'll show you another thing you can do if you want to. I'll give you another piece of information. Do you still recommend electrical high output alternators? Sure. Mine's been running for like 4 years now with 0 problems. Hell yeah, I recommend them. Also, do I fuse the positive from the alternator to battery when you do the big 3? In the front, I would not, because that run is small and it's not going anywhere where it can get into trouble. I would just make sure it's very secure on both ends and make sure that the routing is in such a way that if it come loose on either end, it wouldn't touch anything. Like it's zip tied to shit and whatnot, and you'll be fine. But I'm going to show you one more thing you can do with Audacity, because now that you mentioned it, I'll show you one more trick. We still got that song pulled up. Now, this song registered really hot, right? So we did the analyze and plot spectrum, and it registered like a point. So it's a positive 6, right? Maybe even higher. It's going up. There's a peak that goes on and on, but it's registering hot. What we can do to this, if you really like this track and you want to use it, while you've got the whole thing selected like this, you can go to Effect, and then you can use Amplify, and you see how it's automatically wanting to adjust negative 0.443? Because I have loud clipping turned on. Let's turn loud clipping off, and I'm going to reopen that. So now it's showing that it's still putting that on there. If I do that, it's going to actually lower it a little bit. And notice it dropped down. It didn't lower it much. If we go back to analyze again and plot spectrum, let's see what it actually did. So it brought it down closer to 0. It's like at 2. But what we can do is just go into Effect, go to Volume Amplify, And then you take that, bring that into the negative by about 7 or 8, we'll say 8 dB. And this is the new peak limit is zero point 0.8. Now we were like 2 or 2.5 or something above zero. This should get us back down to 5 below. Whoa, that's totally wrong. I did that wrong. Hold on. Let's look at it and see what we did. I screwed that up big time. Plot spectrum. I reduced it by way too much. Yeah, we're below like negative. We're at negative 0.5, negative 8.5. So that's not as much as I thought it was. We'll just go back to edit and then undo amplify. Go to effect. Go to amplify. We'll bring it down to negative like 5, and we'll try that. See what that does. But you can adjust it. The point is, you can adjust this, and then you can output this file back out. I see now we're closer. We're like negative 6.2, but you tweak this until you get that output that you want, and then you can export that file and use it on your system without having to worry about it. If you get that to where its peak is about the same as what you got tuned for, then you can safely play this track. And if it's something that's really janky, you can also do another trick. So if I edit, undo, amplify, there's one more trick you can use, but you got to set this up. It doesn't come set up to do this. So if we go to effect and volume and compression and go down to limiter. Now, if you have your limiter set the way I do, and you might want to screenshot that, because you can change all these settings. If you got it set the way I do and you hit apply, you notice how the peaks all went away and it just kind of leveled it out. Did y'all see that? Let me undo it and redo it again. Watch what happens when I put it back. See all these peaks that go up real high now? But then whenever I apply the limiter, how it levels them out and takes away those peaks. And then if we go back and analyze it, we can get now it's just by adjusting the peaks but keeping the same volume, we're down to a 0.4. But we've also eliminated a whole lot of those dynamic peaks that would cause different sounds to happen. So you can adjust how the music is going to be interpreted. You can change it. This is basically a mixing tool. You can do a tremendous amount of shit with this tool, guys. This is huge. This thing can do. I build all my music with Audacity, dude. It's like what I use. But anyway, I just want to give you guys a quick little show there. See what else is happening before we're going to be shutting this off pretty soon because I'm getting tired and I got to go finish this video. I got to go back outside and work some more. Rebased car audio seeker. What's up, man? You showed up just in time that I'm getting ready to bail. You could duplicate the track in a low pass and high pass. Yep, I can do that. I do that stuff all the time. Yep. Normalize effect and put peak limit on. Yep, you can do all of that. You're getting into the more advanced versions, but yeah, that's what I do. That's essentially how I rebase a lot of music is by duplicating the track and then low pass in one, high pass in the other. And then I put another low pass filter on the lows to crunch it a little more and get rid of all the harmonics. And then I will raise and lower the key based on what key is available and figure out whether I need to play a harmonic of the key or whether I can play the actual key. There's so much stuff. A lot of times I'll actually create my own bass line because that bass line is just too wonky and I want something that's cleaner and neater for the subwoofers to be happier. So I'll go through and one by one create each individual bass note for the entire song. So there's a lot of work that goes into rebasing. Good rebasing takes a lot of effort, but I use this tool for most of it, if not all of it. Anyway, we are going to get the duck out of here tonight. I'm glad you guys showed up and hung out with me for 3.5 hours. And be sure to hit that subscribe button, slam that like button, share and comment on the live after it goes up as a video because that helps it get promotion. Guys, I love you. Let's get the duck out of here, baby.
Yeah. is charging. Amps are amping, gonna let the woofers blow. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes,
Y'all
and
be
another
sure
one
to show
bites the
love
dust.
to everyone that you meet.
We got
Pass
more at
on
home.
love to other
Another
people.
one
We
bites
don't
the
need
dust.
no meanness. We don't need no hate. We don't need no anger. This world needs love. And you are the one responsible for what you do.
Eyes are glowing and the amps smoking. Subs are cherry red. Let me keep jamming, gotta keep the bass slamming. Gonna go hard till they're dead. Full power, gotta let it go. 20 hertz in the floating air. Sparks are flying, voice cords are frying, and the smoke is in the air. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. Hey, we got more at home. Another one bites the dust.